Chapter 3050. There are several ways to defeat you. Black water, reverse flow. However, a cold voice was suddenly heard. People saw the black water falling from the sky. On the ground, the blue-robed youth slowly reached behind him and drew his sword. Woo! Woo! A demonic cry that didn't seem to exist in this world filled everyone's ears. The disciples of the fairy sect saw that Lin Ling seemed to have transformed into a headless sword demon. They couldn't see him, only a headless ancient god. Swoosh! He slashed out with his sword. It was dazzling, extremely dazzling. Everyone closed their eyes subconsciously. When they opened their eyes, they felt a stinging pain in their eyes, but everything returned to normal. The blue-robed youth left slowly with his sword on his back. The black water seemed to be frozen above his head, but the next moment, it started to reverse flow toward the sky. Reverse flow of black water. The Black River of the underworld was Ancestor Black River's famous, unique skill. Countless people had imitated it. Although it wasn't as powerful as Ancestor Black River's, it was still a skill that couldn't be underestimated in the 9 states. However, the ancient skill of the gods had been cracked. I'll break one of your arms to teach you a lesson. At the same time, Lin Ling's voice was heard. With his hands behind his back, his long hair danced wildly. Zhou Junlang was stunned, but the next moment, his right arm was cut off by itself and blood gushed out. He let out a ferocious roar. The previous sword was too fast, definitely exceeding the speed of 100 worlds. He couldn't see through it at all. I'll kill you. However, he was a genius of Tantric Buddhism, and his broken arm only affected his combat strength to a certain extent. At this moment, he pounced on Lin Ling ferociously with the black water, as if he wanted to perish together with Lin Ling. Watch out! The disciples of the fairy sect shouted instinctively. Perhaps Lin Ling's blue robe and sword move had completely moved them because he was too carefree and handsome. I've said that you're not a genius of the 9 states. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a match for you. You're only slightly stronger than ordinary martial artists in the 2nd level of the half-saint realm. Lin Ling said indifferently as he continued to move forward. I also said that I have many methods to defeat you. Kunlun. Just as the black water was about to submerge Lin Ling, a strange light appeared. With a crackling sound, the vines pulled out. Boom! The black water was torn apart and shattered. A figure was also sent flying. It was Zhou Junlang. At this moment, his eyes were wide open. My talent. Previously, he had almost attacked Lin Ling, but at the crucial moment, the black vines had suddenly appeared. Like a thunderbolt, they had instantly struck out his innate talent, causing his strength to be directly reduced by as much as 80%. This made him realize that the person he called trash actually had many ways to defeat him. He was nothing. You are no match for me. At this moment, Lin Ling stopped and spoke indifferently. On the surface of his body, snake-like vines were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, causing him to seem like the king of all living beings. At this moment, the fairy sect fell silent. Up in the sky, Xing Xiaoyun and Su Li were also stunned. How could Lin Ling defeat a 2nd-level half-saint? Although Xing Xiaoyun knew that Zhou Junlang was not a genius and his comprehension of martial Dao was extremely weak, Lin Ling was a martial immortal. The gap between them was not small at all. Little did he know that Lin Ling had become much more powerful during his time in the Tantric sect. In particular, the 3rd part of the scabbard had increased Lin Ling's strength by as much as 40%. This guy seems to have no limits. Then, Xing Xiaoyun smiled relaxedly. He had been extremely worried before. Fortunately, it seemed that his disciple was not someone who could be easily bullied. Kunlun. At this moment, the vines on Lin Ling's body emitted cold sounds to protect Lin Ling. The leaves on the vines were black and extremely creepy, making Lin Ling look demonic. Coupled with his wildly dancing long hair, his appearance was undoubtedly imprinted in the hearts of every disciple of the fairy sect. In fact, I also hate toads who want to eat swan meat, especially those who talk about this marriage everywhere. This disgusts me because I didn't agree to this marriage. Therefore, I came here today to tell the fairy sect that your most beautiful disciple is not good enough for me. Don't be a toad who wants to eat swan meat. Lin Ling's gaze swept across the crowd. His expression was extremely calm. He stepped forward and left behind a shocking statement. After saying that, he left quietly. The fairy sect fell into a dead silence. Longyang was stunned. So were all the beauties. Their hearts were pounding as if they had been humiliated. But it just so happened that they couldn't refute it. because with the strength that Lin Ling had displayed so far, he did indeed have the qualifications to say that. Although the most beautiful girl of the fairy sect and the most beautiful girl of the tantric sect was favored by the heavens, she paled in comparison to Lin Ling, who had defeated a genius of the tantric sect when he was only a martial immortal. Therefore, even if no one said who the toad was, everyone knew that the white swan was Lin Ling. This brat. Seeing Lin Ling leave arrogantly, Xing Xian smiled bitterly. He's just like you when you were young. Beside her, the fairy sect master shook her head helplessly, but she also smiled. This marriage can't be avoided. I have the same idea as you. Let our disciples finish what we failed to do in the past. Xing Xian nodded. Although he's stubborn, I have a way to deal with him. However, I don't know what your Longyang is thinking. Actually, Longyang is very kind. She's not like what you see. Besides, she didn't spread the rumor. The sect master of the fairy sect said meaningfully as she looked at the second most beautiful disciple of the fairy sect. Longyang's bosom was bouncing violently as she looked at the figure in the distance with her beautiful eyes. No one knew what she was thinking, but it was obvious that she wasn't angry. There was even an apologetic look in his eyes. My good disciple, why are you walking so fast? After bidding farewell to the fairy sect master, Xing Xian immediately caught up with Lin Ling and the other two. Master, if you're here to talk about marriage, I advise you not to waste your time. Lin Ling rolled his eyes at Xing Xian, who smiled helplessly. He knew that this matter couldn't be rushed, so he didn't mention it for the time being. By the way, I plan to go back to Green Province. Seeing that Xing Xian didn't mention that matter, Lin Ling relaxed. Oh, but you've been in the Spirit Province for 3 years. It's good to go back and take a look. By the way, our tantric sect happens to have people in the Green Province. Should I inform them? That's not necessary. There shouldn't be anything in Green Province that I can't solve at the moment. Then go and come back quickly. The tantric sect and the manifestation sect will also hold this conference in a year. The rewards will be very generous. Don't miss it. That's good. The cultivation resources in the Spirit Province are indeed much better than in Green Province. Chapter 3051. Yu broke through to the martial immortal realm. Back then, when he left behind a seal in the Azure Province. Through the space-time divine steel, he could reach there quickly. This was the power of the space-time divine steel. Even Xing Xian was envious of such power. Under Xing Xian's constant instructions, Lin Ling and Sakura disappeared from the space-time divine steel. When they reappeared, they were already in the void of the Qingzhou region. The familiar air undoubtedly stunned Lin Ling and Li Yundong. 3 years ago, they left their hometown and walked to a wider world. 3 years later, they returned. But 3 years ago, they were helpless against the Azure Emperor. They were still unable to control the great Azure Divine Dynasty. But now Lin Ling was the sole ruler. No one can stop me from avenging the Empress Dowager. Lin Ling's eyes flickered. After dealing with the Empress Dowager, his only enemies were Tian Liuli and the Heavenly Court. Big Brother, although we could change the Azure Province in the past, we could not change the rules of the gods. But now, no one in the Azure Province dares to go against us. Suppressing his thoughts, Lin Ling strode forward. Behind him, Sakura smiled. He had not seen Ancestor Tai Yen, his master, and the others for a long time. He wondered what kind of expression they would have when they saw his strength increase. Then, Sakura followed closely behind Lin Ling. The two of them walked side by side. They did not seem to be very fast, but in the blink of an eye, they appeared in the Azure Province. Spring seemed to have arrived in the Azure Province. Birds were singing and flowers were fragrant. Even the air was filled with vitality. The huge ancient city was like a machine. It was still moving. However, in the ancient sky, the Divine Emperor's seal seemed to have calmed down. On a mountain range far away in the Azure Province, Lin Ling and Sakura appeared and looked into the distance. The Son of Heaven's mandate has finally appeared. Second brother, the third princess has become the Azure Emperor, right? If there are no accidents, the third princess should have become the Azure Emperor. Lin Ling's eyes flickered. In the past, Xing Xian came and drove away the Azure Emperor, making him not dare to interfere with the Son of Heaven's mandate. Thus, if there are no accidents, the third princess was the most likely to become the Azure Emperor. Go back. The two of them flew towards Qingzhou. At this moment, in Qingzhou, the various cities were still filled with the spirit of martial arts. To the martial artists from the 10,000 worlds, The strength of the powerhouses in Qingzhou was monstrous. They were as powerful as gods. However, to Lin Ling and Yi Zichen, who had returned from the Spirit Province, Qing Province was indeed much weaker. To the 9 great divine lands, Qing Province was like building a chariot behind closed doors. It's no wonder that martial artists want to leave the Green Province and head towards a wider world. Only by flying higher can one see further. Sakura sighed and said, everything was like what Lin Ling had said. When you're addicted to your current achievements, then you'll be stuck at the same spot for the rest of your life. At this moment, under the ancient Green Mountain, a large number of people had gathered. 8th Baron, Scarlet Jade Tiger, Sunset Glory, and other experts were all present. They looked at one of the mountain peaks with solemn expressions. Rumble. Just then, a rumbling sound came from the mountain peak. A rainbow shot into the sky and illuminated Qing State. Someone had made a breakthrough and entered the martial immortal realm. Moreover, looking at the magnificent rainbow in the sky, there were 2 rainbows, which meant that 2 people were breaking through to the World King realm. To the imperial court, this was a joyous occasion. Therefore, everyone in the imperial court became excited. This was because the ones who had broken through and entered the martial immortal realm were Yu and Xian Yuan Gober. The 2 of them had benefited greatly from following Lin Ling. Many difficult martial arts problems could be easily solved. This was also the first person to enter the martial immortal realm in the past 3 years in Qingzhou. The martial immortal realm was the realm of immortality. For many martial artists, it was difficult for them to step into this realm in their entire lives. They lived as long as the heavens and earth. In the chaos of the universe, there was no so-called fairness. Therefore, even though many people were envious, they wouldn't hate them out of jealousy. Instead, they were in awe of the martial immortal realm. Someone broke through to the martial immortal realm. In the distant Great Azure Divine Dynasty, some people also looked towards the imperial court. I didn't expect that after Emperor Qing fell seriously ill, there would be someone in the imperial court who could break through to the martial immortal realm. Let's go take a look. That's what I'm thinking. On the Great Azure Divine Dynasty's side, several figures walked towards the imperial court. Their footsteps weren't fast, but there was a mysterious rhythm to them. They quietly appeared in the sky with a speed that surpassed 10 realms. I'm here to pay my respects to Emperor Qing. A furious roar could be heard. Rumble. This voice immediately interrupted Yu and Xian Yuan Gub, who were breaking through on the mountain peak, causing the rainbow in the sky to become illusory. 6th Prince. On the ground, everyone in the imperial court looked over, and their eyes turned red with anger. The 6th Prince was Emperor Qing's son. In the past, when the Great Azure Divine Dynasty fought for the title of emperor, he didn't plan to compete because he knew how powerful the 99th Prince was. Therefore, many people didn't recognize him. What? Today, we're here to pay our respects to Emperor Qing. In the sky, a young man wearing a pink dragon robe said indifferently. His hands were behind his back, and he gave off a free and unrestrained feeling. You've gone too far. Lord. The 8th Lord roared angrily. The 6th Prince seemed to have come to pay his respects to Emperor Qing, but in fact, he was here to cause trouble. Because, when breaking through to the martial immortal realm, one couldn't be disturbed. If the disturbance was too great, one's previous efforts would be wasted. If one's luck was bad, one's soul might even be destroyed. As expected, the rainbow in the sky became more and more illusory, as if it was going to disappear at any time. I've already said that we're here to pay our respects to Emperor Qing. The 6th Prince looked at the rainbow in the sky indifferently. He was happy, but his face showed anger, as if he was very unhappy that the imperial court's people had stopped him. You've gone too far. You're not letting me see Emperor Qing. His voice floated out. He turned the tables and actually reprimanded the imperial court's people. This time, the imperial court's people were furious because the 6th Prince's last sentence was not only a reprimand, it was also mixed with the rumbling of thunder. It was obvious that he was trying to provoke Yu and Xian Yuan Gu again. If this continued, Yu and Xian Yuan Gu would not only fail to break through, but also show signs of qi deviation. 6th Prince, who in Qingzhou doesn't know that Emperor Qing is seriously ill. If you want to see her, I'm afraid you'll have to wait for a while. Leave. Although they knew that the 6th Prince was doing it on purpose, for the sake of Yu and Xian Yuan Gu, the imperial court's people swallowed their anger. Nonsense. Leave. Who would have thought that the 6th Prince would shout again? In Qing Province, Who doesn't know that the third princess's son of heaven's mandate has become the Qing Emperor's imperial jade seal? She is also the new Qing Emperor. But instead of wishing her well, you cursed her to be seriously ill and slandered the Qing Emperor. Leave. Rumble. When he said those words, the earth shook as if the sixth prince was angry. Bastard. Leave. Chapter 3052. The Azure Emperor's commander's seal controlled the divine guards. However, a child took a big step forward and blocked the crowd's anger. He bowed to the sixth prince in the sky and said, "Sixth prince, it is indeed inconvenient for the Qing Emperor today, so please forgive us. When the Qing Emperor recovers, she will definitely pay you a visit." Yes, this child was the person beside the third princess, Tong Man. He had one of the 6 great god eyes of the universe, the Eye of Destiny. He could see through the fate of others. The reason why he stepped forward was because he sensed a mysterious aura from the sixth prince. He was afraid that the Azure Emperor had taken a fancy to him and obtained some treasure. You know how to talk. Since that's the case, let's forget about today. Ha ha. Ha ha. The sixth prince nodded. He did not dare to go too far. Although the third princess was seriously ill, she was still the Azure Emperor. Thus, he did not go too far. However, his laughter was bold and unrestrained. It shook the heavens and caused the rainbow in the sky to dissipate. Seeing this, everyone clenched their fists in anger. However, they still endured. Currently, they only hoped that Yu and Tong Man would successfully enter the martial immortal realm. Where's Lin Ling? I heard that Lin Ling took a saint as his master and left the Azure Province 3 years ago. There are countless experts outside the Azure Province. It's not that I don't think highly of Lin Ling, but with Lin Ling's talent, he would only be a servant in the other 9 provinces. Perhaps he's already dead. Sigh, what a pity. Lin Ling was a famous person in the Azure Province, but he overestimated himself and wanted to leave the Azure Province. Sigh. The sixth prince turned around and left. He seemed to be talking to himself. His words immediately angered the people of the imperial court. However, the impact on Yu and Tong Man on the mountain peak was even greater. Rumble. The illusory rainbow let out a thunderous roar and shattered like glass. This was also the sign of a failed breakthrough. Seeing this, the sixth prince and the other experts sneered. Failed breakthrough? That's great. However, at that moment, a ray of light shot over and smashed into the mountain peak, causing it to crack open. Then, a huge light screen enveloped the mountain peak and sealed everything. Huh. The sixth prince and the others frowned. What was going on? The people from the imperial dynasty were the same, but their expressions changed. Did someone use Yu's failure to assassinate them? However, when the members of the imperial court wanted to charge into the barrier of light, they were stopped by the powerful barrier of light, and they weren't able to get close at all. This made them extremely anxious. This is called retribution for evil. The sixth prince and the other powerhouses could not help but laugh. Although they did not know who had suddenly arrived, they felt that this person was here to harm Yu and the others. Rumble. However, a sudden change occurred. In the sky, the shattered rainbows actually condensed once more. Moreover, there were more and more rainbows, and their radiance was boundless. Rainbow, rainbow. When the dazzling rainbow appeared in front of everyone's eyes, everyone was stunned. The people of the imperial court were delighted. It seemed like Yu and the others had received help from a noble. They hoped that they could pass this test. On the contrary, the sixth prince and the others were enraged. This person had come to help Yu and the others? Moreover, they had interrupted Yu and the others' breakthroughs. But who knew that this person's methods were so extraordinary? He had actually reformed the rainbow for Yu and the others to break through to the World King realm. Who is this person? How bold! He dares to be so arrogant in Azure Emperor's Dragon Mansion. If he disrupts Azure Emperor's cultivation, he will be punished. Although they did not know who had come, the sixth prince took the initiative to give this person a big label. The sixth prince took advantage of Azure Emperor's illness to ask about his grandmother's insanity. He does as he pleases and does not place Azure Emperor in his eyes at all. Lord Eighth and the other powerhouses' eyes were filled with killing intent. They wanted nothing more than to immediately kill the sixth prince. Who are you? Get out here. The sixth prince saw that the mountain peak was silent and the rainbow was becoming more condensed. He immediately roared again, wanting to disrupt Yu and the others. But this time he was disappointed. This was because the massive barrier of light covered the earth, blocking everything. Instead, the rainbow in the skies became increasingly dazzling. It seemed that Yu and the others were about to break through. Forget it. Let's go back. The sixth prince clenched his teeth. Since he had failed to disrupt them, he didn't plan on staying here any longer. Hold on. But at this time, an icy cold voice sounded out from the ground. This voice was very familiar, causing Sunset Glory and the other powerhouses' complexions to change. That voice seemed to be Lin Ling's. Then a figure stepped out from the ground. His blue robes fluttered in the wind, and his long hair was like flames. His eyes were as cold as swords. You are Lin Ling? Looking at this man, the sixth prince and the others found him increasingly familiar. In the past, Lin Ling had overturned Azure Province. In the entire Azure Province, there weren't many people who didn't know who Lin Ling was. In particular, when Lin Ling defeated the powerhouses of Crimson Province, Azure Province revered Mr. Lin. These words had spread throughout Azure Province and Crimson Province. Thus, how could the sixth prince and the other powerhouses not know who Lin Ling was? They didn't expect Lin Ling to return. No wonder Yu and the others were able to successfully break through. So this was the reason. Lin Ling, we are here to pay our respects to the Azure Emperor. Although the sixth prince was a little wary of Lin Ling, he still forced himself to remain calm as he spoke. However, Lin Ling didn't stop and continued to walk forward. Lin Ling, what are you trying to do? Forget it. I won't be entangled with you today. If you have anything to say, go find my father. The sixth prince frowned and didn't want to stay any longer. He turned around and left. However, just as he turned around, a young man appeared behind him. He was arrogant and unruly like a wild dragon. He was impressively Sakura. He stood there quietly like a ferocious tiger blocking the way. The sixth prince and the others' gazes trembled slightly. Azure Emperor, I will grant you death today. Lin Ling finally spoke. You don't have the right. The sixth prince also knew that Lin Ling wouldn't let him go. At this moment, he was going to fight to the death. Lin Ling, I know that you are very powerful and are an overlord of the Azure State. However, I am also an overlord of the Azure State now. I know that you still think of yourself as the overlord and the third princess as a puppet. However, let me tell you, this is no longer the same as 3 years ago. After saying that, the sixth prince unleashed a powerful aura. This person was actually an 8th stage martial immortal. The Azure Emperor's commander's seal appeared in his hand, and he activated his realm essence. The commander's seal instantly emitted an ancient aura. Then, the void exploded and huge Azure State Divine Guards walked out. They were neat and tidy and majestic. What? The Azure Emperor gave the Azure Emperor's commander's seal to the sixth prince. That despicable Azure Emperor. After he left the throne, the Azure Emperor's commander's seal should have been left for the third princess. Seeing that, the people in the imperial court were furious. The Azure Emperor's commander's seal was the key to controlling the great Azure Divine Guards. It was also owned by every Azure Emperor. Kill him. Chapter 3053. I have a sword that comes from the gods. Lin Ling, let's see how you're going to block it. The sixth prince knew that Lin Ling was powerful. But could he block all the divine guards from Green State? The divine guards were able to protect the great Qing divine dynasty, so they naturally had their own strengths. To many martial artists, the divine guards were like gods. Rumble. Tens of millions of divine guards stepped forward and surrounded Lin Ling. Rumble. The huge fists seemed to be able to shatter the sky of Green State, causing it to shatter continuously. In the past, Lin Ling had defeated the Green State Divine Guards, and everyone had witnessed it. However, the number of Divine Guards now exceeded everyone's imagination. No matter how strong Lin Ling was, he would not be able to block the fleshless ancient bronze people. That was indeed the case. People could vaguely see that the Divine Guards had surrounded Lin Ling, and countless huge fists were bombarding Lin Ling's body. One punch was enough to destroy a world. It was like ants biting an elephant to death. This Lin Ling is truly terrifying. Only by dispatching 9,999 divine guards can we kill him. The sixth prince also looked at Lin Ling with a sinister look in his eyes. Then he quietly became excited because Lin Ling had died in his hands. It was unbelievable just thinking about it. Sixth prince, congratulations. You've killed Lin Ling. You're now the #1 person in Green State. The people around him could not believe it. They were even afraid that they had seen wrongly, so they stared straight ahead and used their heavenly eyes. However, in reality, Lin Ling was indeed surrounded, and the scene was extremely miserable. It was likely that he had a slim chance of survival. This unforeseen event happened so quickly that the people in the imperial court could not react in time. Lin Ling could not have died just like that, right? Impossible. How can Lin Ling die here? Days asked. Luo Riyao said with a blank face. Lin Ling had just returned, and then he died? Moreover, this was different from the Lin Ling he knew. In his impression, the Lin Ling in the face of life and death would erupt with greater fighting strength. But now, Lin Ling didn't seem to have any strength to fight back. How could it be impossible? The Qing province commander's seal represents the power of Qing province, and is also one of the ancient powers. Although Lin Ling is powerful, he can't compare to a deity. The sixth prince sneered and said disdainfully, "Ants will always be ants. They are always deceived by some false appearances and even feel complacent. They don't even know how high an eagle can fly." But at this moment, a voice came from behind the sixth prince, which made them look back. Only then did they realize that Sakura had been standing there all along. "What do you mean?" The sixth prince frowned. "I say, you bunch of ants are very sad. You think you're standing on the shoulders of giants and have seen through everything in the world. In fact, you're just frogs at the bottom of the well." Sakura smiled and said. That smile made sixth prince and the others uneasy. Sakura and Lin Ling were brothers. Now that Lin Ling was besieged and killed, how could Sakura not help? "Are you trying to say that Lin Ling is not dead?" The sixth prince had an ominous premonition. "Do you think you can kill my second brother? To put it bluntly, any expert in Qing province is like a chicken or a dog to my second brother. Even your father is the same." Sakura said disdainfully. "Nonsense." The sixth prince roared angrily. "Haha, do ants deceive themselves like this? Open your dog eyes and look ahead." Sakura laughed loudly. He didn't bother to explain anything anymore. The sixth prince and the others looked into the distance. When they saw a figure striding forward, everyone fell silent. Because that was Lin Ling. Most importantly, countless divine guards were also besieging Lin Ling. There were 2 Lin Ling. Could it be that the Lin Ling that is being besieged is a fake? The sixth prince suddenly thought of something and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Tens of millions of divine guards besieging Lin Ling, but they couldn't see the real one. That was too unbelievable. One had to know that the divine guards protected the great Azure God dynasty. So, let alone a mere Lin Ling, even a fly couldn't escape their sense of smell. But now they ignored the real Lin Ling and were besieging the fake Lin Ling. "Kill him." The sixth prince didn't think too much. He controlled the commander's seal and pointed his sword at Lin Ling. Rumble. However, the divine guards didn't seem to listen to orders. They were still besieging the fake Lin Ling. What was strange was that the fake Lin Ling was extremely durable and hadn't died yet. How could this be? The sixth prince was a little panicked. "Do you think you can kill me just because you control the ancient power? Azure province is really full of useless people." Lin Ling finally appeared in front of everyone with his hands behind his back and said indifferently, "You only dare to be arrogant in front of me. Do you dare to say such words in the eyes of countless authorities in Azure province?" The sixth prince said ferociously. He was still controlling the divine guards, hoping that they would react and kill the real Lin Ling. "I'm sorry, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everyone who goes against the third princess, including the Emperor Qing. And that's what Lin Ling said." Lin Ling sneered. His voice spread throughout Azure province, letting all the powerful people in Azure province know that Lin Ling had returned. Moreover, he even said that everyone present was just a bunch of clay chickens and pottery dogs. "How dare you?" Everyone on the sixth prince's side was furious. It was fine to scold them, but to scold the Emperor Qing as well, Lin Ling was courting death. If it weren't for the arrival of the sage, Lin Ling wouldn't have been a match for the Emperor Qing. Did he think he was a sage now? No need to summon them anymore. "Under my barrier, your divine guards will never wake up," Lin Ling said when he saw the sixth prince secretly controlling the commander's seal. The sixth prince flew into a rage out of humiliation after being seen through by Lin Ling. He shouted angrily, using evil methods to bewitch the Azure province divine guards. "That's all you, Lin Ling, can do." "Is that so?" Lin Ling's smile widened. "You can only rely on the Emperor Qing's commander's seal. But such a thing is trash to me." After saying that, he shot behind him like a startled Yan Feihong. At the same time, the barrier he had set up earlier disappeared, causing the divine guards to come to their senses. They charged at Lin Ling mercilessly. This unforeseen event directly stunned everyone. Why did the barrier disappear all of a sudden? Without the barrier to bewitch the Azure Province divine guards, they would definitely attack Lin Ling. No matter how strong Lin Ling was, he wouldn't be able to stop tens of thousands of divine guards. I have a sword from the era of the gods. At this moment, the sword radiance flashed, sparkling and resplendent. Demonic aura surged as if it had reached the era of the gods. As the sword passed by, all the divine guards froze. It was a spectacular scene. Instead, among the tens of thousands of divine guards, the blue-robed youth slowly walked toward the sixth prince with his sword on his back. It was as if time had stopped. Rumble. However, it didn't last long. The tens of thousands of Azure Province divine guards were all shattered by the sword. Chapter 3054. Changes in Qingzhou. Boom. Boom. Deep craters were formed on the ground by the bronze shards. As for the Azure Province divine guards, they were the protectors of the Azure Province and the symbol of the great Azure God dynasty. Every one of them was at the initial stage of the martial celestial realm. In addition to their tough bodies and countless numbers, even those at the peak of the martial celestial realm would not dare to fight them head-on. However, Lin Ling chose to meet force with force, and he was even tougher than the Azure Province divine guards. Even if Lin Ling did not set up a boundary to bewitch the Qing Province divine guards, those divine guards would not be able to withstand a single blow from Lin Ling. What a frightening sword strike. In the past, Lin Ling was able to defeat late-stage martial immortals. Now, I'm afraid that even martial immortals are no match for him. Furthermore, only 3 years have passed. On the ground, the people of the imperial court were mumbling to themselves. As for the sixth prince and the others, they were all dumbstruck. They never thought that the trump card they were so proud of would be like tofu to Lin Ling. Not long after, Lin Ling stood in front of the sixth prince and slowly extended his hand, intending to take away the sixth prince's commander's seal. Hand it over, it's useless to keep it on you. Facing Lin Ling's actions, the sixth prince was stunned. He did not resist at all. Perhaps he did not dare. Just like that, Lin Ling seized the sixth prince's commander's seal. The Azure Dart shall grant you death. After taking away the commander's seal, Lin Ling said calmly, "Wait, I'm not targeting you. I'm here to visit the third princess. Although I'm a little arrogant, don't kill me. I don't deserve to die." The sixth prince finally came to his senses. He knelt down in the air, his body still trembling. In fact, his heart was rumbling, because the Azure Province divine guards were completely useless against Lin Ling. This was beyond his imagination. Indeed, he doesn't deserve death. Lin Ling nodded slightly. That's right. This crime doesn't warrant death. Lin Ling, spare me. Punish me. Just spare my life. The sixth prince hurriedly kowtowed in the sky. However, I still want to kill you. However, although Lin Ling nodded, he also revealed a murderous look. But I don't deserve to die. Please spare my life for the sake of Emperor Qing. What's more, there are laws in the country and rules in the family. I'm now a subordinate of the third princess. According to the rules, even if the third princess is here, she won't kill me. At most, she will punish me. The sixth prince panicked even more. He kowtowed like a chick eating rice. You're wrong. In my world, there has never been a god emperor, and there are no strict rules. Lin Ling smiled and smashed the sixth prince's head with his palm. The sixth prince wanted to use the laws of Qingzhou to escape with his life. However, Lin Ling did not care about the laws of Qingzhou at all. He killed whoever he wanted. Ah, the sixth prince is dead. The people behind the sixth prince were all shocked. Big brother, I'll leave them to you. Lin Ling did not even look at them. He turned around and walked towards the ground. Accept your fate. When we returned, Qingzhou was no longer under the control of the Emperor Qing. It's now under the control of the two of us. If you don't agree, come and fight. Not far away, Sakura smiled and walked forward. He did not care about those who begged for mercy and killed them one by one. After he was done, he looked at the vast Qingzhou and stared at the misty firmament in the sky. Finally, he said, Emperor Qing, we're back. After we eat and drink our fill, we'll kill our way to your house. After we eat and drink our fill, we'll kill our way to your house. His voice was like thunder, spreading throughout the entire Qingzhou. Instantly, Qingzhou was turned upside down again. The return of the two brothers, Lin Ling, was simply arrogant and unruly. They actually declared war on the Emperor Qing in front of Qingzhou. Moreover, the two brothers did not seem to be worried about this battle at all. They wanted to eat and drink their fill before going. It was as if killing the Emperor Qing after drinking wine was as simple as drinking water. Lin Ling reigned supreme in Qingzhou. Will it still be the same after 3 years? The cultivators of Qingzhou were all alarmed. In the sky above their heads, the strongest was no longer the Emperor Qing alone. There were 2 more people, Lin Ling and Sakura. Big brother Ling. Big brother Sakura. After Lin Ling and Sakura landed, everyone was overjoyed. Yu Yu and Xian Yuan Gub are also rushed out from the mountain peak. The 2 of them had successfully reached the martial immortal realm. They were as misty as fairies and added a bit of beauty. In Lin Ling's eyes, they were many times more beautiful than the spirit province's Longnyang. That was because Longnyang gave people an otherworldly feeling. On the contrary, Yu Yu and Sakura were more amiable, like the girl next door. When Lin Ling saw them, he was also happy and quickly held their hands. Lin Ling, you're back. Red Jade Tiger, Lord 8, and the other experts walked over one after another. The child, Tong Man, was the same. Moreover, when the Destiny God's Eye appeared, his expression changed greatly. Lord Tong Man, did you see something? Although Tong Man did not have any battle strength, his miraculous abilities were obvious to everyone. Thus, many people respected him. Lin Ling is even more powerful than the Emperor Qing. Tong Man said calmly, his expression incomparably respectful. What? Everyone was shocked. Could it be that Lin Ling was doing well in the Spirit Province? However, the Spirit Province was clearly much stronger than Qingzhou. Lin Ling could still stir up trouble in Qingzhou, but in the Spirit Province, he should be the weakest existence. Actually, I don't know why either. However, I have a feeling that the divine light on Lin Ling's body is even stronger than the Emperor Qing's. Tong Man said solemnly. Then he bowed slightly to Lin Ling. In the past, when he first met Lin Ling was still very insignificant. He had saved Lin Ling from the hands of various magnates because he wanted Lin Ling to become the left and right arm of the imperial court. However, Lin Ling had already surpassed the Emperor Qing. It must be said that this was like a dream. He's right. In the Spirit Province, I'm an important figure of the 2 strongest factions. I'm the disciple of the 4 heavenly kings. Lin Ling said with a smile when he saw the confusion on everyone's faces. Red Jade Tiger's heart rumbled as he asked curiously, Then what's your ranking in the Spirit Province? According to the ranking in Qingzhou, I'm only below half of the magnates in the Spirit Province. Lin Ling said calmly after thinking for a moment. Hearing that, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Magnates were already the 2nd level of experts in the Divine Lands. They were only below the Emperor God of the Divine Lands. Half of the magnates were ranked 3rd in the Divine Lands. If one had to give an example, they would be like the 8th Noble Lord and the others. However, one had to know that the Spirit Province was even more ancient and vast than Qingzhou. Most importantly, Lin Ling had only been in the Spirit Province for 3 years. To have such achievements in 3 years, it was impossible for anyone not to be shocked. Let's not talk about this anymore. What happened in Qingzhou? Lin Ling shook his head and asked everyone. Chapter 3055. Dead Spirit. That's right. The Qing Emperor seems to be the 3rd princess, but he's still the Qing Emperor of the past. Everyone said one after another. Good trick. Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. He guessed that this was the Qing Emperor's trick to make the 3rd princess a mere figurehead. He still didn't let her control the ancient power. Grandma Wendao had a treasure that the Qing Emperor also needed, and she was helping the Qing Emperor now. There must be a secret behind this. According to the Qing Emperor's strength, he can't do all this. So I guess that there are foreign experts in the Qing continent who secretly disrupted the rules of the gods. Lin Ling guessed again. No one dared to break the rules of the gods, so those people must have done it secretly. Let's go see the 3rd princess now. For safety, she hid in the Flame World fragment. Grandpa and the others are there too. Okay, let's go back to the Flame World fragment. Everyone followed Lin Ling and seemed to have found their backbone. Everyone's fighting spirit was boiling. Master, what happened? Sakura asked his grandmother worriedly because the latter was his master. Brother, Grandma Wendao and the Qing Emperor are enemies. She definitely won't help the Qing Emperor, so someone must have done it secretly. Although Grandma Wendao isn't a sage to be, her background, her knowledge, Everything about her is something that I, Lin Ling, can't see through. So it's definitely not easy to control her. This means that the person in the dark isn't simple. Lin Ling also asked his grandmother worriedly. His eyes were extremely cold. No matter who it is, if they dare to attack my grandma Wendao, I'll make them regret coming to the Qing continent, even if they're a true god. Grandma Wendao was someone that Lin Ling knew in his previous life. She was his relative, his elder. No one could attack her. Hearing this, Sakura nodded coldly. Not long after, everyone came to the Flame World fragment. This void was still hidden in the universe. Unless it was a teleportation formation, ordinary people couldn't reach here. Someone's here? At this moment, the evil flame sect was on high alert. When the ripples appeared in the void, everyone was on high alert. However, after seeing Lin Ling and Sakura, everyone immediately became ecstatic. Linger, Father, Ancestor Extreme Flame, Lin Yi, and the others all rushed over. During this period of time, they had to be on guard against hidden enemies at all times. They were deeply afraid that someone would sneak into the evil flame sect and assassinate the third princess. Now that they saw Lin Ling return, they could finally put down the heavy stone in their hearts. Grandfather. Lin Ling also hurriedly bowed to the elders, causing Patriarch Extreme Flame and Emo Niantian to nod with gratification. Sakura, like Lin Ling, also prostrated towards the Extreme Flame Ancestor and the other seniors. To him, the Extreme Flame Ancestor and the others were also his relatives. These people had been together since the rainforest's sacred land. They had gone through ups and downs together. Ordinary people couldn't understand the depth of their feelings. Moreover, the infinite world was vast and boundless, and there were countless families. However, not every family could rise to prominence. Many families had even been wiped out because they had provoked strong enemies. Therefore, it was sometimes a miracle for a family like the ancient Flame clan to continue to rise to prominence. Of course, all of this was because the Fire Ancient clan had Lin Ling. After talking with everyone for a long time, Lin Ling's gaze also landed on the third princess. How is the third princess? Linger, follow me. Ancestor Extreme Flame's expression was grave. Everyone walked forward and came to a cave. The cave was as hot as the bottom of a volcano. The red light illuminated the cave, and sinister sounds came from the cave. You're all dead. Let me out. The voice was sharp, like a child's shout. There was a fiery red stone bed in the cave. On the stone bed lay a woman in snow-white clothes. She was very beautiful, like a fairy. However, her slightly closed eyes moved from time to time, as if she was in pain. On her body, a shadow appeared, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It seemed to want to rush out of her body, but it was afraid of the surrounding heat. We don't know what the third princess provoked, but she has this terrifying thing on her body. It seems like the third princess is controlled by that thing. Later, we found out that this thing is afraid of fire. That's why we brought the third princess here. Linger, what is this? Ancestor Extreme Flame looked at Lin Ling and said. When he talked about the third princess, his face was filled with fear. Obviously, he was very afraid of the evil thing on the third princess. Lin Ling's face was extremely gloomy. Dead spirit. This is a dead spirit from the underworld. It's even more terrifying than ghosts. From a certain point of view, it's not a demon, not a ghost. I didn't expect someone in the chaos of the universe to have such a method. Hey, this dead spirit has a barrier on it. It should be a death goo. Lin Ling said coldly. In the past, Li Xiaoyao had also seen this kind of death goo. The terrifying thing was that this thing couldn't be destroyed. Unless it was suppressed by a special barrier, there was no other way. Generally speaking, people who were hit by this death goo were already dead. Their life and death were controlled, and they could never escape. The most terrifying thing about this death goo was that no matter how strong a person was, as long as there was a death goo in their body, they would be controlled. Think about it. When these death goo controlled countless half-saint realm cultivators, what kind of enormous power was this? Of course, the death goo that Li Xiaorao had seen in the past was even more powerful. It could hide in a person's body and others couldn't detect it. At least, it wasn't as clear as the one in front of him. Next, Lin Ling told them all he knew about the death goo. Hearing this, the third princess's personal maids, the people of the Jiang family from the Tianzhou realm, all became gloomy. The old woman who had grown up with the third princess even shed tears. She muttered to herself, "Death goo, it's actually a death goo. Isn't this a product of the place where the heroic spirits rest? This is one of the 9 provinces' 10 evils. The 9 provinces' 10 evils? After hearing this, everyone's expression changed greatly. In their view, the 3rd princess already had half a foot in the netherworld. Even Lin Ling suddenly understood. Of the 9 provinces' 10 evils, he knew about the Creation Alliance, where Senior Lu Chun, the 9 Lanterns Fish, and the Immortal Temple, where Nuer was, as well as the Dream Stream Tomb Guardian clan. And now, he knew of another ancient death Gu that had existed since the Age of Gods. Alas, this is the fate of the 3rd princess. Everyone, don't be too sad. Tong Man let out a long sigh, seemingly resigned to his fate. And he was the destiny god's eye, so his words carried the most weight. Wait, maybe I can try. But at this moment, Lin Ling's voice suddenly rang out, causing the entire cave to fall silent. Plop. Chapter 3056. The 3rd princess woke up. Lord Lin Ling, please save the 3rd princess. If you save the 3rd princess, my life will be yours. You can take it away at any time. It could be seen that these people had followed the 3rd princess for many years and were extremely loyal to her. In the end, the 3rd princess is my Lin Ling's disciple. I will not watch her die like this. I will do my best. Lin Ling shook his head and walked to the side of the stone bed. As for Ancestor Taiyan and the others, they said worriedly, "Be careful." They knew how fierce the undead spirit was. It did not fear any power in the world and could choose to devour people. Lin Ling did not say anything. He continued to walk forward, and his left hand also continuously waved. Large amounts of spirit formations appeared. He knew that against the undead spirit, the desolate body would not be effective. Only spirit formations could be used. That was why the undead spirit was so difficult to deal with. Brat, did you come to die? The undead spirit was outside the 3rd princess's body. It kept roaring ferociously. A hint of the aura of a death god enveloped everyone, causing them to panic. Lin Ling's face was like an ancient well without any ripples as he continuously waved spirit formations. Right now, his spirit formation Dao had increased by more than 10% compared to the time when he was with Li Xiaoyao. The main reason was because he had comprehended the spirit formation Dao from the ancient tree in Mount Yu. After all, that ancient tree was a natural spirit formation. It was simply not something that humans could comprehend on their own. Brat, let me devour you! Exclamation point. The undead spirit turned into a skeleton and actually wanted to rush out of the 3rd princess's body. Seeing that, everyone became nervous. They did not know how Lin Ling would deal with the undead spirit that did not fear any power. But at that moment, an invisible barrier blocked in front of the undead spirit, making it seem as if it had crashed into a piece of glass. Brat, you have some ability! Exclamation point. The undead spirit became even more ferocious. However, Lin Ling was still expressionless. His hands continued to wave spirit formations, and more of them. Moreover, sweat flowed out of his forehead. Although the dead spirit looked like an inanimate object, it actually had intelligence and was extremely difficult to suppress. Therefore, Lin Ling had to completely seal the dead spirit before it could react. The invisible barrier was extremely mysterious as it spread out and enveloped the undead spirit's surroundings, causing it to have less and less space to move around. However, the dead spirit didn't notice this and continued to bare its fangs and brandish its claws, wanting to devour Lin Ling. If it entered Lin Ling's body, it meant that Lin Ling was dead for sure. This was because there wasn't a single half-step Saint Realm expert who could break through the undead soul formation. Not to mention that Lin Ling was merely a martial immortal. Second brother. Seeing that lightning-fast scene, Sakura couldn't help but shout out. Everyone clenched their fists as if they were facing a dead spirit. They were extremely nervous. On the contrary, Lin Ling was the calmest. When the dead spirit was about to pounce on him, his pupils seemed to flicker with lightning. Seal! With a furious roar, the surrounding enchantments began to press down with earth-shattering might. Ka-ka-ka! An ancient aura spread out and countless enchantments intersected, sealing the space like ropes, causing the area where the dead spirit could move to shrink. At this moment, the ferocious dead spirit also reacted and hurriedly pounced back towards the 3rd princess body. At the same time, Lin Ling's gaze focused and he took a large step forward. With a wave of his hand, all the enchantments condensed and turned into an incomparably dazzling symbol, hanging in Lin Ling's palm. Where do you think you're going? His palm heavily slammed on the third princess' chest. "Brat, I won't let you off." The dead spirit wanted to hide in the third princess' body, but it was obviously too late. Lin Ling had set up too many enchantments, trapping the dead spirit like a cage. If the dead spirit escaped back into the third princess' body, Lin Ling would definitely not dare to touch the dead spirit again, because the dead spirit also controlled the third princess' life. Your master is really a powerful existence. It's a pity that he met me. Lin Ling secretly felt lucky. If the dead spirit hadn't been careless, he, Lin Ling, might not have been able to seal it successfully. In the end, it was because Lin Ling had Li Xiaoyao's memory and was somewhat familiar with such a ferocious creature. If it falls into my hands, even the dead spirit will die. Then Lin Ling eliminated the source of the problem. If the dead spirit was released, who knew how many people would die? His eyebrows twitched and the enchantments condensed again. One had to know that there were hundreds of billions of enchantments here. Once they were compressed, the power would naturally be extremely terrifying. Brat! The dead spirit let out a shrill roar and was suppressed by the enchantments. In the end, it turned into a wisp of stinky green smoke and dissipated into the sky. At the same time, the third princess also woke up. Her beautiful eyes were a little confused, but when she saw the man in front of her, she immediately reacted. Moreover, when she saw the man's palm pressing on her soft chest, her heart violently jumped. Seeing this, Lin Ling's face turned red, and he quickly withdrew his palm. Third princess. The people of the Jiang family from the Great World rushed over one by one, extremely excited. The old woman kept kowtowing to Lin Ling. What happened? The third princess continued to recall and gradually came back to her senses. Who's framing you? Lin Ling frowned and said. It was the elders. At that time, he said that he had accidentally obtained a precious treasure, but he didn't know its origin, so he asked me to help him check it out. The precious treasure was an ancient bottle. When I opened it, I lost consciousness and found that there was an evil thing in my body. It controlled my body, and no matter how I resisted, it was useless. The third princess quickly said, That's the death goo. Lin Ling said faintly. However, I also checked the ancient bottle for a long time. On the surface, there's nothing special about it. The reason why the death goo is so terrifying is because no one can detect it before it's infected. Moreover, the other party can borrow an object to cast the goo without being there. This shows that his strength is unfathomable. Is it my father? It might not be him, but I have a feeling that an unknown expert must have come to Qingzhou. Listening to the conversation between the two, everyone's expression was extremely solemn. Qingzhou had the former Emperor Qing, which had already left them in a terrible fix. Now there was an unknown expert hiding in the dark. The imperial court was obviously in a passive situation. If it wasn't for the fact that the Emperor Qing didn't dare to openly defy the rules of the gods, he would have killed the third princess long ago. Tong Man pondered for a moment and said faintly, This means that the Emperor Qing wants to use the third princess as a puppet and become the emperor behind the scenes. Firstly, he doesn't have to violate the rules of the gods. Secondly, he still controls the ancient power and is the supreme ruler of Qingzhou. Lord Eighth also guessed the Emperor Qing's ambition. It had to be said that the Emperor Qing had a good plan. Now that there are suddenly more enemies in Grandma when Dao has disappeared without a trace, the imperial court doesn't know what to do. The third princess sat up. Although she had just escaped a disaster, her aura did not decrease. She had the demeanor of a god emperor. Chapter 3057. A Battle of Life and Death. Now that there are more enemies in Grandma when Dao has disappeared, the imperial court doesn't know what to do. The third princess sat up. Although she had just escaped, her aura did not diminish. She had the demeanor of a god emperor. At the mention of Grandma Wendao, everyone shook their heads helplessly. Grandma Wendao had always been the mastermind of the imperial court. Now that she had disappeared, they felt the strength of the enemy even more. Everyone could not help but look at Lin Ling. To them, Lin Ling had become the mastermind of the imperial court. His return would definitely illuminate Qingzhou. Master. The third princess looked at Lin Ling with anticipation. She was also waiting for Lin Ling's solution. Get ready. Lin Ling didn't say much and turned to leave the cave. His words made everyone suspicious. Get ready? What did he mean? To the great Azure God dynasty. Lin Ling finally stopped at the entrance of the cave and said to everyone calmly. Lord Lin Ling, are we going to fight the Azure Emperor head-on? Someone asked in fear. Currently, the Azure Emperor had countless experts on his side. There were even some hidden experts. Normally, if the imperial court did not make a move, they would not make a move. They would not make a move before they ascertained the situation. However, Lin Ling had chosen to go to the great Azure God dynasty. Obviously, he was not going there for tea. He was definitely going to overturn the great Azure God dynasty. The enemy is in the dark. We can't guard against them. Since that's the case, let's force them out. No matter who the Empress Dowager and the Azure Emperor have invited, it's useless. This is what I said. Lin Ling said and disappeared from the cave. At this moment, anger rose in his heart. When Xing Shiyun had arrived previously, Emperor Qing had also promised not to interfere in the matters of Qing province. However, not only had he interfered now, he had even attacked Grandma Wendao. This had thoroughly infuriated Lin Ling. Second brother, I've been waiting for you to say that for a long time. Sakura also revealed a smile, a very cold smile. Attacking his master was something he could not tolerate. Then, he followed closely behind Lin Ling. Ling, are you finally going to make your move? Patriarch Extreme Flame was extremely excited. Although Lin Ling was not a match for Emperor Qing back then, he believed in his grandson. Pass down the order. All those above the World King realm are to follow Lin Ling. Lord Eighth and the others pondered for a moment before speaking. Evil Flame Sect is in charge of guarding the Flame World Fragment. Sect Master, rest assured. We will protect the Fire Ancient Clan well. The disciples of the Evil Flame Sect spoke one after another. All right, there will be a tough battle when we go to the Great Azure God Dynasty this time. However, the Flame World Fragment is our backup. If we are not careful, everyone in the Imperial Court will retreat and follow Lin Ling. The third princess also stood up excitedly. She did not expect Lin Ling to make such a choice after his return. In fact, she had been waiting for this choice for a long time. However, she did not have enough confidence. Only with Lin Ling around did she have the confidence. No need. Everyone move out. We will only win this time, so there is no need for backup. However, at this moment, Lin Ling's ethereal voice spread throughout the cave, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. No need for backup? At this moment, everyone's faces were filled with fighting spirit. Next, everyone in the Flame World Fragment left and went to Qing State. As for the Imperial Court of Qing State, all the experts moved out and headed to the Great Azure God Dynasty. This change caused Qing State to be in turmoil. Whether it was the martial artists of Qing State or the martial artists of the 10,000 Worlds, they were all in high spirits. They did not expect Sakura to say that after eating and drinking, they would kill their way to your home. What he said was true. As for the Imperial Court's movement, the other three magnates were also on high alert. They were all hiding in the Great Azure God Dynasty, so no one knew what they were thinking. However, on the surface, the Imperial Court was clearly at a disadvantage. Because other than facing the three magnates, they also had to face the Azure Emperor, the Empress Dowager, and even the unknown experts in the rumors. Could the Imperial Court win? Countless people were waiting for the good news. Run quickly, the Imperial Court's people are coming. At this moment, in the huge five-ring city, many people were running wildly, their faces filled with panic. And these people were also martial artists of the Great Azure God Dynasty. We can't escape. Behind them, a large number of experts were chasing after them. They were from the Imperial Dynasty. Wait, I am not a martial artist of the Great Azure God Dynasty. Someone knelt down. Those who are not important, scram. Behind them, a thunderous voice came. An elder rode on a qilin and looked at the entire five-ring city. He was Huangfu Yidao of the martial god camp. The 6 camps, as the vanguard, had already opened a path. 6 camps, are you rebelling? These people are all the Azure Emperor's people, and the 3 magnates' people. You dare to kill them. Roar. Someone roared. Hee, the current Azure Emperor is the 3rd princess, kill. Kill. Sound the horn, kill them all. At the back, more and more flags appeared. The 6 camps had all arrived, and were attacking the Great Azure God Dynasty. Sound the horn, kill them all. Kill. Sound the horn, kill them all. Kill. Sound the horn, kill them all. Kill. His voice shook the entire Qingzhou. The 6 camps killed mercilessly. They could be said to be unscrupulous. They opened a path domineeringly like they were sweeping 1,000 troops. Those unimportant martial artists' faces changed. They did not expect that Lin Ling's so-called killing to be the signal for a decisive battle. This was also the decisive battle between the imperial court and the Azure Emperor. A decisive battle of life and death. And this was Lin Ling's first choice upon his return. It had to be said that this choice was straightforward and unimaginable. There was no compromise. The 6 camps swept past, and the road to the great Azure God dynasty was vast. No one dared to stop them. After the 6 camps, a large number of experts appeared. 8th Noble Lord, Sunset Glory, Falling Flower Flowing Water Sword, Tang Yue, and other experts represented half of the sky of Qingzhou. They moved forward in a mighty manner. So scary, they're all moving out. Looks like they're really going to kill. Lin Ling, are you going to illuminate Qingzhou and decide the ruler of Qingzhou? In a distant place, people's hearts were roaring, but also surging to the extreme. In the past, when the Azure Emperor ascended to the throne, he was also so heroic, shocking the world. However, after he became the Azure Emperor, he was unwilling to give up the ancient power and dominated the throne. And now, Lin Ling was also walking in the footsteps of the old Azure Emperor. Won't you get lost? I'll kill you until you get lost. Lin Ling, get out here. Go! As they got closer and closer to the great Azure God dynasty, a tall and sturdy general appeared. This person was at the 7th level of the martial immortal realm, and was also an ambitious person in the army of Blue Flame, one of the 4 giants. You are not qualified to see Lin Ling. Chapter 3058. The Great Battle Against the Empress Dowager. Another expert has arrived? Everyone was greatly shocked. What kind of supreme being was this? Lin Ling, I'm back. In the sky, a queen-like sexy beauty appeared. She was gorgeously dressed, and her femininity was extremely alluring. In the distance, Lin Ling smiled. I'm finally back. That woman was Queen Qianji. Back then, Lin Ling had crippled the sovereign marquis and handed him over to the Queen of Qianji. The Queen of Qianji must have brought the sovereign marquis back to her tribe and killed him as a token of respect for her ancestors. At that time, Lin Ling did not disturb the Queen of Qianji. He knew that the Queen of Qianji needed some peace and quiet. But Lin Ling believed that Queen Qianji would come back. And now, that was indeed the case. A bunch of traitors dared to be arrogant? Since the entire army is mobilized today, you can stay here forever. After a moment of silence, the great Azure God dynasty finally mobilized many strong practitioners. They were all people from the 3 magnates of the past. One of them wore a jade crown and looked wise and mighty. He held the Azure Dharch divine sword in his hand, as if he was the leader of the army. Eldest heir, the world's hearts? Over at Lin Ling's side, 3rd princess let out a cry of surprise. The eldest crown prince, who was also the crown prince, had always been well hidden in Qingzhou. No one knew where he was, except for the 3rd princess. The eldest crown prince had always been following the Emperor Qing. Moreover, he was also the son of the Empress Dowager, and the Empress Dowager was also the bitch who wanted to kill the 3rd princess's mother. Kill! However, Lin Ling's voice also floated out from beside the 3rd princess. Kill! On Lin Ling's side, all the powerhouses moved out, following closely behind the 6 camps. The 3rd princess is the noble Emperor Qing, but she disrespected the former emperor. This violated the rules left by the gods. Therefore, kill these rebels, capture the 3rd princess alive, and seize Lin Ling's head. The crown prince's eyes turned cold. He did not fear Lin Ling at all. Instead, he swung his sword. The experts of the 3 magnates moved out one after another. The experts from both sides clashed in the Azure province. The sound was deafening, as if the heavens and earth were falling apart. At this moment, every corner of Qing province was filled with killing intent, battle intent, and the sound of charging horns. For their own masters, they had spilled their blood. 3rd princess, are you stupid? Without Grandma Wendao, do you think that Lin Ling alone can help you? The crown prince floated in the sky and pointed his sword at the 3rd princess. His lips curled into a cold smile. After the great Azure Divine dynasty, there were still too many experts. A mere Lin Ling did not even need the Azure Emperor to make a move. Speaking of Grandma Wendao. But at this moment, a roar sounded in vain. Give me back my master. A gigantic white bone giant appeared. With a single step, it was as if it could cross countless cities. It had bone armor in one hand and a halberd in the other. Swoosh! Blood rained down from the sky. the three magnates were all killed by the war god Halberd. So strong. The people who were watching from afar were all shocked. This white bone giant was too ferocious. The white bone giant did not seem to be moving fast, but it had already appeared in front of the crown prince. Its terrifying fist punched out and broke the sky. The crown prince's eyes were trembling. He did not expect the newcomer to be so strong. Was this Lin Ling? No, it was Sakura. Boom. By the time he reacted, his entire body had been blasted to pieces. The leader of the three magnates, the leader of the army, was killed so easily. This unforeseen event shocked Qing province. Sakura! Someone shouted in fear. They did not expect Sakura to become so strong. You know it too late. The white bone giant let out a cracking sound as it waved its halberd. Any magnates were killed. One should know that in the Dragon Tongue Fong, Sakura was a genius who could fight against a first-realm half-saint. With the addition of the Tantric sect's simple mountain ancient tree, his strength had increased by several times. There were only a few people in Qing province who could stop him. You killed my son. At this time, the great Azure Divine dynasty finally emitted a royal aura. It was the royal aura of a sovereign descending to the world, the emperor ancestor aura of the myriad worlds. A beautiful woman in her 40s rushed out like a dragon. The Empress Dowager had arrived. Obviously, the Empress Dowager did not expect Sakura to become so strong. One should know that she had a good plan. When the Crown Prince could not defeat Lin Ling, she took the initiative to suppress Lin Ling, pacify Qing province, and seize the Azure Divine Emperor's throne. However, her estimation was wrong. Lin Ling did not even make a move, and the Crown Prince was killed in battle. You destroyed my rainforest's sacred ground. Old woman, today we will fight to the death. The white bone giant looked at the beautiful woman in the sky and waved the halberd in its hand. Sword come. The Empress Dowager roared. The Azure Divine sword left behind by the Crown Prince turned into a stream of light and fell into her hand. This sword originally belonged to the 99th Crown Prince. After the 99th Crown Prince died, the Crown Prince finally obtained it. It was an ancestral divine sword of the Azure Divine sword. Rumble. The halberd and Azure Divine sword clashed. A terrifying storm swept through Qing province, shattering the entire Qing province. Countless buildings tumbled in the sky like straw, with many warriors among them. Sakura, how did you become so strong? With the Azure Divine sword in hand, the Empress Dowager's expression changed drastically. She sensed a terrifying power erupting from Sakura's body. Bitch, your good days are over. Today, not even God can save you. That's what my second brother said. Sakura let out a roar. The giant that was a few hundred meters tall grew even taller. His head reached the sky and his feet stepped on the ground. The desolate physique's talent was completely unleashed. Rumble. The halberd struck out, and with a clang, the Azure Divine sword in the Empress Dowager's hand broke. Her expression changed drastically. Empress Dowager, we are here to help you. At this moment, a voice drifted out. The Songling Academy's dean arrived while stepping on rolling clouds. Dream on. Lin Ling, we are here to help you. However, the people from Resplendent Academy also arrived from afar. Dean Qin Suetson clashed with the Songling Academy's dean. Empress Dowager, we are here to help you. Sakura, how dare you offend your superiors? How should you be punished? However, among the three magnates, even more ancient heroes appeared and made their moves against Sakura. Upon seeing this, the third princess's expression changed slightly. She was planning to help Sakura, but at this moment, Lin Ling stopped her. He said indifferently, my brother is not that weak. Just as he said this, the white bone giant began to transform. It turned into a three-headed, six-armed giant. Its bones were crystalline like jade, as though it was not afraid of any attacks. Rumble. The huge halberd was thousands of miles long. With a swing of the halberd, all the experts were reduced to ashes. Blood flowed like a river. This made the Empress Dowager's expression change drastically. Fear rose in her heart. Chapter 3059. Emperor Qing, you're old. Plop. Affected by the terrifying aura of the halberd, the Empress Dowager's legs went soft, and she sat on the ground as if she had lost the ability to resist. This made everyone gasp. The Empress Dowager, one of the giants in the past, was actually so weak today. However, when the halberd was about to hit the Empress Dowager, a figure suddenly appeared. It was an old woman who was close to 50 years old. Her face was cold, and she was like a giant standing in front of the Empress Dowager. This made Indra's halberd stop instantly. Because this person was Grandma Wendao. Evil disciple, how dare you? Grandma Wendao let out a furious roar. Disciple doesn't dare. Indra knelt down in the air. His bones also made cracking sounds, and his body continued to tremble. Not good. The current Grandma Wendao isn't the old Grandma Wendao, but Indra respects her the most, so he doesn't dare to make a move. If this goes on, he'll be in danger. The third princess brought Lord Eighth and the other strong practitioners and rushed towards Sakra, wanting to help him. However, it was obviously too late. In the sky, a giant sword that cut through Qingzhou ruthlessly slashed towards Indra. This made Indra's white-bone face turn solemn. Not good, Emperor Qing is attacking. The third princess and the others' faces changed drastically, knowing that Indra wouldn't be able to escape. However, at this moment, the bone shield in Indra's hand blocked towards the sky. Rumble! Suddenly, an even more terrifying storm broke out. The power of lightning, flames, wind and frost swept across Qingzhou. Heavens, Indra blocked Emperor Qing's attack. All the martial artists in Qingzhou were shocked when they saw this scene. Only to see Sakra's white bone arm raised up high, and the bone shield actually blocked the huge sword in the sky. Of course, the white bones all over Sakra's body also cracked, but this didn't stop Qingzhou from being shocked. Because when Emperor Qing attacked, no one in Qingzhou could block it. This was an unchanging truth. Your strength has increased, but you still can't block my second attack. In the great Azure Divine Dynasty, the ancient voice was like a brilliant heavenly power that entered everyone's ears. At the same time, the giant sword that was comparable to the great Azure Divine Dynasty hung high and slashed down heavily, as if it was the emperor's order. Evil disciple, how dare you? At the same time, Grandma Wendao also reprimanded Indra. This made Indra's heart was confused. He must block it. However, he must listen to Grandma Wendao. Although he knew that Grandma Wendao was no longer his old master, based on his character. A teacher for a day was a father for life. I won't block. Indra. He was such a person. Haha, you're a real man. In the great Azure Divine Dynasty, a hearty laugh suddenly sounded, and the real Azure Emperor Divine sword in the sky slashed through the sky. Indra to Indra's. Indra was. Was Indra was to Indra to Indra? To Indra to 9-2. Indra NN true to heaven to fight. To fight to fight to first realm to him to block to twos to first. S2. S Lord Lin Ling. Master. At this moment, everyone in the imperial court looked behind them. They couldn't block that sword, so they could only look to Lin Ling. Lin Ling, the rest is up to Lin Ling. The entire Qingzhou looked into the distance. They knew that Lin Ling should be making his move. Lord Lin Ling, the genius who went to the martial god barracks with us in the past, made Qingzhou respect him. However, can he fight against the Emperor Indra today? Falling flowers, flowing water, and the other geniuses clenched their fists and looked at the sky behind them. Their eyes were filled with adoration. However, the blue-robed youth in the sky behind them closed his eyes and didn't do anything. On the contrary, the Emperor Indra's Indra sword was getting closer and closer to Indra. However, at this moment, Lin Ling disappeared. Demonic aura surged in the sky as if an expert from the era of the gods had arrived. The headless old man appeared, his clothes fluttering in the wind as he fought against the gods. A sword seemed to have slashed out from the sky. It was extremely dazzling. Everyone finally saw a blue-robed figure in the sky like a shooting star. He held a giant sword and shot towards the Emperor Indra's sword in the sky. Clang! As if the most pleasant sound in the world was heard, the two swords collided. Lin Ling had made his move. The two swords, one big and one small, collided in the sky. It was as if the old Emperor Indra was colliding with the new Emperor Indra. All the battles in Qingzhou stopped. Everyone was afraid that they had seen something wrong and didn't even dare to blink. Emperor Indra, you're old. Finally, Lin Ling raised his head and said softly, Rumble. He slashed out with his sword. The giant azure the arch-divine sword above his head started to crack. Then, under countless gazes, it completely shattered. This scene illuminated Qingzhou like a bright lamp. Lin Ling said, Emperor Indra, you're old. Next, he broke the Emperor Indra's sword. Swoosh. After the Emperor Indra's sword shattered, Lin Ling shot down from the sky and smashed into the ground like a meteorite. Rumble. The moment he landed, it was as if a ferocious beast had descended. The three magnates were all overturned. Even the weaker ones were killed. The last expert of the imperial court attacked. It was terrifying. Although everyone was looking forward to Lin Ling's attack, they didn't expect him to be so destructive when he attacked. Sakura, who was still kneeling on the ground, smiled. He knew that Lin Ling wasn't weaker than the Emperor Indra. He couldn't attack because of Grandma Wendao, but Lin Ling could. "Big brother, leave the rest to me." Lin Ling looked at Grandma Wendao and said softly, "Today, I'm here to destroy the Emperor Indra. Whoever helps me will die." "This is what Lin Ling said." Looking at the Great Azure Divine Dynasty, Lin Ling said softly. The Great Azure Divine Dynasty was silent. This ancient divine dynasty seemed to be hiding countless secrets. The Emperor Indra didn't appear immediately. "Emperor Indra, come out. What's the use of hiding? I'm here today to get all of you out of the water." Lin Ling said again. "Lin Ling, how dare you provoke the previous emperor?" Among the three magnates, those who didn't die shouted angrily. "Ants, you better shut up. Otherwise." Lin Ling didn't even look at the experts around him. "Otherwise what? Are you going to destroy the Great Azure Divine Dynasty?" Many experts said. Although they were afraid of Lin Ling's strength, they became more confident when they thought of the hidden experts in the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. "Otherwise, you'll end up like the Great Azure Divine Dynasty." Lin Ling smiled and slashed out with his sword into the distance. Swoosh. That slash wasn't majestic. Instead, it was calm. It landed in the ancient imperial city. The imperial city was still mysterious, as if it represented the Emperor Indra's pride that would never fall. "Haha, otherwise what?" Seeing this, the three magnates couldn't help but laugh. Lin Ling was just putting on an act. Boom. Chapter 3060. Fighting the Azure Arch. Rumble. The city walls cracked and the ground shook. The huge circular Great Azure Divine Dynasty was like a biscuit that was split from the middle. The Great Azure Divine Dynasty was broken. Otherwise, what would happen? The Great Azure Divine Dynasty was an example. This kind of shock had reached the extreme. The entire Qingzhou was silent. The people of the three magnates were all pale and did not dare to speak anymore. All eyes were on Lin Ling. Lin Ling's sword was also pointed at the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. "Azure the Arch, come out! Come out!" The shattered Great Azure Divine Dynasty was silent. However, gradually, a man in a dragon robe floated up slowly. At this moment, all the martial artists in the Qingzhou were breathing heavily. The Azure the Arch had finally come out. "Lin Ling, you are very bold. If it wasn't for the sage, do you think you could have stopped me? Today, you actually dared to violate the rules of the immortals. It seems that I will punish you on behalf of the immortals. Come out." The Azure Thearch's face was calm and emotionless. However, his eyes were filled with confidence. Although Lin Ling was very powerful and was a rare genius, he was still a first heaven half-saint. He was also one of the strongest. It would have been fine if Lin Ling did not come. The Azure the Arch did not dare to provoke Lin Ling, as he was afraid of the sage. However, since Lin Ling had taken the initiative to barge in, he had an excuse to kill Lin Ling. The half-saint realm is not something you can look up to. "Come out!" The Azure the Arch took a step and disappeared from the sky. When he reappeared, he was already above Lin Ling's head. A sword made of sovereign aura slashed down. This was the real Azure Thearch's sword. The Azure Thearch's sword that the Empress Dowager had used was actually just a clone of the sword. This sword was obviously an extremely powerful weapon. At the same time, the terrifying power of the realm essence, accompanied by the power of the realm essence, attacked with overwhelming force. With just one sword, everyone knew how powerful the Azure the Arch was. At this moment, the third princess and the rest were extremely nervous. Today's battle had reached its peak. Rumble. The sword slashed down at a slow speed. Although it seemed slow, it carried a mysterious melody. In an instant, it had already fallen on top of Lin Ling's head. Clang! At the same time, Lin Ling also drew his sword. His long hair danced wildly, and the aura of a headless elder pervaded the air. Moreover, it was even stronger than before. "You're weaker than me in terms of cultivation level, and you're weaker than me in terms of cultivation level. I'm a half-saint. I don't understand why you're here to die." The Lotus Tharch seemed to be looking down on all living beings. The sword in his hand emitted a golden light that seemed to be able to make even gods and demons retreat. Rumble. That sword instantly increased its power, suppressing Lin Ling. Bang, bang, bang. The ground under Lin Ling's feet instantly cracked open, and the bricks and soil were sent flying into the air. The three magnates burst into laughter when they saw this scene. They laughed in high spirits. In their eyes, Lin Ling was definitely not a match for a first-layer half-step saint. Not even a little bit. Die, Lin Lings. Someone even let out a crazed shout. You're just a first-layer half-step saint. It doesn't mean you're a saint. However, at this moment, Lin Ling's voice suddenly floated out. He tightened his grip on the sword in his hand and slashed towards the sky. The terrifying, desolate body instantly erupted. The realm-devouring beast, the dragon god, and the space-time divine steel shocked the world. The boundary energy of the four Dantians also merged at this moment. The boundary energy was so majestic that it had already surpassed the limits of a first-layer half-step saint. Clang! The Lotus Thearka's sword immediately lost its grip. His expression changed instantly. How could this be? Following that, another deafening sound rang out. The Lotus Thearka's sword was sent flying. The Lotus Tharch was also sent flying by the huge force. He crashed into the distant Great Azure God dynasty, causing it to shatter. This unforeseen event no doubt caused everyone to fall silent again. A first-layer half-step saint didn't mean he was a saint. However, a half-step saint was the strongest divine power in Qingzhou. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call him a god. Lin Ling, what martial arts did you use? Soon, the Lotus Tharch shot out from the ruins of the Great Azure God dynasty. He was in a sorry state. However, Lin Ling didn't say a word. His blue robe fluttered as he shot towards the Lotus Tharch like a meteor. His four Dantians merged again and suppressed the Lotus Tharch with a domineering aura. Clang! The Lotus Tharch resisted with all his strength. However, he couldn't use any of it. Lin Ling's boundary energy was too powerful. It made him feel as if he had been hit by a mountain. Rumble! He was once again slashed to the ground. If not for his Lotus Tharch divine sword being somewhat powerful, he would have been killed by the sword. Heavens, Lin Ling actually suppressed the Lotus Tharch. Lin Ling seems to be only a martial immortal. Could it be that even the Lotus Tharch can't stop Lin Ling? Seeing this terrifying scene, cries of alarm rang out from Qingzhou. This result was completely different from what they had imagined. The Empress Dowager also stood there in a daze. She kept shaking her head as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her man, the strongest person in Qingzhou, was actually suppressed by a rising star? Lotus Tharch, didn't you say that your cultivation is stronger? Didn't you say that your cultivation level is stronger? Now why are you like a stray dog? Lin Ling's sword was like a violent storm. His battle intent filled the sky as he violently slashed at the Lotus Tharch divine sword. It was as if he wanted to cut the Lotus Tharch divine sword in half. The wind and waves caused by the collision of the two directly caused a storm to erupt in the shattered Qingzhou. Why are you so strong? The Lotus Tharch was suppressed and roared in anger. No matter what he used, it was useless. Lin Ling's strength seemed indestructible. Pooh! He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face gradually turned pale. In the past, Lin Ling wasn't his match. He relied on the saints to escape. However, after a short 3 years, Lin Ling returned and suppressed him with an attitude that made him look down on him. Lotus Tharch, I'm here to help you. However, at this moment, a billowing murderous aura surged into the sky from the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. A flaming saber cut through the sky as if it had come from the void. After the saber appeared, the power of the gods was also released. In the void, there was no fire, and half the sky was set ablaze. The void was also set ablaze. From this, one could see how terrifying this saber was. Lotus Tharch, help me. The Lotus Tharch also let out an angry roar. His voice was like thunder, shocking everyone's heart. Lotus Tharch? The great emperor of Crimson State. No wonder the Lotus Tharch was so confident. It turned out that he had invited such a helper. Lin Ling, be careful. The third princess and the others immediately shouted. The two Thearchs had made their move. The terrifying flaming saber hadn't even slashed down, but the entire Qingzhou was set ablaze. Countless martial artists died in the flames. Ha ha, Lin Ling, you're still too inexperienced. The Lotus Tharch roared. Using the Lotus Thearka's saber, he pounced on Lin Ling crazily. He wanted to see how a junior like Lin Ling was going to block two Thearchs. The power of rank. Chapter 3061. Battling Two Emperors. I'm a second-tier half-saint. You think you're my match? In the sky, the Scarlet Emperor roared. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He wanted to avenge his two younger brothers. It's not like I haven't fought a second-tier half-saint before. Let me take you on. However, Lin Ling raised his head. The tyrannical Song's sword in his hand exuded a terrifying aura. At this moment, an illusion appeared around his body. It was the most ancient battle between the gods. That battle was known as the creation of the world, and it paved the way for the post-gods era. Countless people in the post-gods era looked up to it. After the appearance of those illusions, everyone felt the pressure increase greatly. Bang! Lin Ling stomped on the ground. The ground exploded as he slashed the sky with his sword. 30% of his cultivation level power gushed out crazily at this moment. One had to know that he hadn't used his cultivation level power before, but this was the demonic sword stage. The demonic sword released a demonic aura that filled the sky. A huge headless elder also appeared. Rumble! The sword and saber collided. The wind and clouds exploded, and the chaos in the universe also distorted. Clang! When the gigantic flaming blade in the sky collided with the demonic sword, it was instantly shattered by an unstoppable force. Whoosh! Furthermore, the demonic sword didn't stop there. It passed by the broken saber, and with a slash, it actually cut off the Scarlet Emperor's right arm. The cut was filled with demonic chi, and it seemed like his right arm would never be able to recover. Ah! In the sky, a painful cry rang out. The Scarlet Emperor held his arm, and his eyes widened. The people on the ground also widened their eyes. When the Scarlet Emperor arrived, everyone thought that Lin Ling would definitely lose. Who knew that Lin Ling could fight two emperors alone and still not be at a disadvantage? This was too ferocious. Not good. At this moment, the Cyan Emperor was still pouncing toward Lin Ling. However, he forcibly stopped his speed. His face was instantly filled with fear. Fortunately, his reaction was fast. If he was even half a second slower, he would have been killed before he could even get close to Lin Ling. With the mysterious energy of the world essence and the power of his cultivation level, even a second-layer half-saint is no match for him? After stopping, the Lotus Emperor muttered to himself. Not only was there fear in his eyes, but there was also fear. Now he finally knew how strong Lin Ling was. A half-saint at the initial stage of the half-saint stage was like an ant to Lin Ling. This made him feel very curious. Where had Lin Ling gone during these past 3 years? Why had he become strong to the point of not fearing half-saint realm experts? Azure Emperor, let's fight. At that moment, Lin Ling's gaze landed on the Azure Arch. The latter's body trembled subconsciously as he retreated. Lin Ling, don't force me. The Cyan Emperor gritted his teeth and said. Today, the two emperors had fought Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling had stirred up a mess. This made him feel too ashamed to face anyone. After that, he immediately formed a complicated seal with his hands. It was as if the song of the gods was being sung. Above the sky, a huge palace slowly floated down. It was like an imperial edict of the gods, accompanied by a long and drawn-out bell sound. This was the ancient power. Everyone looked at the ancient palace in the sky. It was as if they were looking at the palace of the gods in the era of the gods. They subconsciously knelt down. Some of the weaker ones even trembled and kowtowed continuously. The power of the ancient times was an unknown power that could make ordinary people prostrate themselves in worship and submit to it for eternity. On the ground, Lin Ling raised his head and looked at the ancient palace that was slowly falling down from the sky. Swoosh! He slashed out with his sword. Clang! A deep sword mark immediately appeared on the surface of the ancient palace. However, the sword was still slightly weaker and could not stop the suppression of the ancient palace. On the contrary, the ancient palace emitted a clear stream that slowly healed the sword mark. Seeing this, Lin Ling frowned and slashed out with his sword again. Clang! Colorful and dazzling demonic swords shot out from all directions, killing gods and demons. Clang! 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 The ancient palace was made of unknown materials. Perhaps it had received the blessings of the gods. It was extremely sturdy. Even though a large number of sword marks appeared, it still did not break. This also made Lin Ling understand why Xing Xian was in such a sorry state back then. This ancient palace was indeed terrifying. Haha, let's see how proud you are now. The Cyan Emperor also shouted and used the ancient power. Lin Ling would definitely be crushed to death. In the distance, the Scarlet Emperor also laughed happily. However, Lin Ling ignored them and continued to slash out with his sword. This made the two Emperor gods' expressions turn serious. From the power Lin Ling used to slash at the palace, Lin Ling was indeed powerful. If these swords slashed at Qingzhou, no one in Qingzhou would be able to stop them. The only outcome would be a great loss of life. Fortunately, a monstrous freak like Lin Ling was going to die here today. Kill him! The Scarlet Emperor shouted excitedly. The ancient palace in the sky was getting closer and closer to Lin Ling. However, to everyone's surprise, Lin Ling still did not move. He did not escape, nor did he panic. It was as though he was going to slash the ancient palace in half as he continued to slash out with his sword. The third princess and the others were screaming in their hearts, but they were also extremely worried. Rumble! At the same time, the ancient palace in the sky finally came down completely. Lin Ling was crushed by the ancient power, and it was as though he was definitely going to die. This scene caused all the Qingzhou cultivators to fall silent. Previously, they were excited as though they had seen the end of a great show. Lin Ling was finally defeated. Even so, they were still shocked by Lin Ling's strength. This was because they had to mobilize 2 emperor gods and the ancient power to suppress Lin Ling. Without the ancient power, didn't this mean that Lin Ling could do whatever he wanted in Qingzhou and Crimson Prefecture? Is he finally dead? The Scarlet Emperor and the Green Emperor stared at the huge palace on the ground. They seemed to be in disbelief. Perhaps Lin Ling had brought them too many miracles. They would not be at ease until they saw Lin Ling completely dead. Chi! However, at this moment, a weak sound was heard. Below the ancient palace, flames started to boil and a dragon roared. He's not dead yet. The Green Emperor was stunned for a moment. Then he shouted in horror. His heart was beating 1,000,000,000 times in an instant. He was frightened. He knew that if he did not see Lin Ling's corpse, Lin Ling might not be dead. Therefore, when he saw the changes in the ancient palace, he was like a bird startled by the twang of a bow. At this moment, he did not realize that he, the high and mighty Qingzhou Emperor God, was extremely afraid of Lin Ling. Even if Lin Ling let out a fart, he was afraid that Lin Ling would use a killer move. It's fine. He can't break free from the ancient power. He must have been struggling before. In fact, the Scarlet Emperor was not any better. However, he still analyzed the situation. Hearing this, the Green Emperor nodded. It was a false alarm. The two of them instantly looked at each other. There was only bitterness in their eyes. 2 Emperor gods were actually so afraid of a junior. If word got out, people would laugh their heads off. Chi! Chi! However, under the ancient power, the dragon's roar became louder and louder. Something is wrong. Chapter 3062. With Qingzhou as the venomous insect. Martial Celestial, could it be that he can fight against the ancient power? The Scarlet Emperor's face turned paler. Seeing the 2 Emperor gods' uneasiness, the Qingzhou warriors could no longer remain calm. In fact, logically speaking, Lin Ling could not fight against the ancient power. However, from Lin Ling's analysis, anything was possible. That was because he was the legend of Qingzhou. Boom. Almost as soon as the crowd had that thought, the huge palace soared into the sky and shot toward the firmament. Heavenly Dragon's protection. Good karma increases with each passing day. Upon closer inspection, there was an arrow under the palace. It was an extremely sharp arrow. Upon closer inspection, it was not an arrow but an ancient dragon god. Heavens, he can really fight against the ancient power. As expected of Lord Lin Ling. As expected of Lord Lin Ling. Exclamations rang out one after another like waves. The falling flowers flowing water soared, and the others danced with joy. Lord Lin Ling was too ferocious. Boom. The ground exploded again as a sword flew over like a deity. Very quickly, it arrived in the blink of an eye. Puff! The Azure Emperor could not react in time, and his legs were cut off. Demonic aura surged from the cut, and it was as if his broken legs could not be healed. Under countless gazes, a faintly discernible voice rang out. He held a bow in his left hand and a sword in his right. Bow! He has such a skill. The Scarlet Emperor opened his mouth and his body began to tremble. At that moment, he actually wanted to run away. Lin Ling, why don't you listen to me? The Azure Emperor's legs were broken, but he was a tough person. He ignored the pain and looked at Lin Ling in panic. Let's shake hands and make peace. I can see that your bow is indeed powerful, but it can only be used once in a short period of time. As for the ancient power, you can only flip it. When the palace comes down again, you will definitely die. Hearing that, Everyone raised their heads and realized that the ancient palace in the sky was falling down again. As expected, Lin Ling's previous arrow was only able to topple him. In fact, even Lin Ling knew this point. The ancient power was very strong. Even if he used all his strength, he could not break through it. He could only push it away. That's right. If you don't want to die, you'd better leave immediately, the Scarlet Emperor said malevolently. It's true that I can't block the ancient power, but before the palace suppresses you, I can kill you all. However, Lin Ling smiled and said coldly. With that said, the two Divine Lord's hearts trembled. Lin Ling's words were also very reasonable. The two of them were currently heavily injured and could not block Lin Ling's sword. Lin Ling could indeed kill them first. Lin Ling, this is a misunderstanding. Thinking of this, the Lotus Emperor shouted anxiously. Haha. Lin Ling laughed out loud as his gaze swept across the entire Qingzhou. According to the rules of the gods, the Qingzhou divine bell will ring and the azure arch will step down. Can you do that? Is this a misunderstanding? As soon as he finished speaking, he viciously slashed out with his sword. Whoosh! The demonic sword was sparkling and bright as it cut off the Lotus Emperor's other arm. The third princess has become the Lotus Emperor. Did you hand over the ancient power? Is this a misunderstanding? Grandma Wendao, what happened? You must have something to do with it. Is this a misunderstanding? Lin Ling stepped forward, and with every step, the demonic sword slashed out. The second slash cut off the Lotus Emperor's other arm, and the third slash cut him in half. However, the Lotus Emperor was indeed the Lotus Emperor. A warm jade light appeared on his body, and he did not die immediately. Golden jade robe? Lin Ling's eyes flashed, and his cold smile deepened. I'd like to see how many slashes your golden jade robe can block. The golden jade robe was an extremely precious supreme weapon. It was said that it was made from the bones of the gods, and it was made from 490,000 broken bones. Its defense was extremely strong, and unless it was the power of the gods, ordinary attacks would not be able to break it. The power of the gods was the power of cultivation level. Therefore, Lin Ling's sword could also hurt the golden jade robe, but it would take some time. Lin Ling, this has nothing to do with me. Seeing the Lotus Emperor's miserable state, the Scarlet Emperor was already planning to leave. He even regretted coming to Qingzhou. If he could also use the ancient power in Crimson Prefecture, and it was even stronger than the Lotus Emperor's, then he would not be afraid of Lin Ling. However, he was too confident, and he left Crimson Prefecture. It has nothing to do with you. Lin Ling shouted coldly. He raised the sword in his hand and slashed down vertically. The Scarlet Emperor was a second-level half-saint. As long as he did not have the ancient power, he was nothing to Lin Ling. Whoosh! The sword pierced through the sky, and the demonic aura was extremely condensed. It directly cut the Scarlet Emperor in half. His eyes were fixed on the sword, as if he did not expect to die here. In the end, he did not even leave any last words. His left and right body fell to the ground. Lord Lin Ling, mighty. Seeing this scene, the imperial court people shouted excitedly. Lord Lin Ling, mighty. Moreover, in a distant place in Qingzhou, many voices could be heard. It was obvious that Lin Ling's battle with two emperors had completely moved everyone. In their opinion, Lin Ling was the Lotus Emperor of Qingzhou. It's your turn. Ignoring the voices around him, Lin Ling looked at the Lotus Emperor. The Lotus Emperor's expression changed drastically. He almost wanted to escape like the Scarlet Emperor and leave this place. However, he also knew that Lin Ling would not let him escape. Both sides were mortal enemies, and there was no possibility of compromise. Death Gu. However, just as Lin Ling was about to kill the Lotus Emperor, an old voice suddenly rang out. This voice made Lin Ling's expression change slightly. This was because he had been wary of the person behind the scenes from the beginning. Now, the mysterious person behind the scenes had finally appeared. He immediately focused all his attention. He knew that the other party was a strong opponent. It's useless. I've already used Qingzhou's Gu. This is the Great Gu of Qingzhou. From the Great Azure God Dynasty's side, an ethereal voice suddenly rang out. A figure covered in white cloth slowly floated up. The moment he appeared, a power that did not seem to come from this world quietly spread out. No one could see the appearance of such a person clearly. They could only see that he was covered in dirty cloth. It was extremely strange. Using Qingzhou's Gu. Hearing that, Lin Ling's expression became even more serious. Not long ago, The third princess was poisoned by goo because she came into contact with an ancient jade bottle. Therefore, Lin Ling guessed that as long as he did not come into contact with any mysterious items, he would not be poisoned. However, who knew that the other party was so powerful and imposing, using Qingzhou's goo? This meant that on the day that Lin Ling returned to Qingzhou, he had already entered the death goo. Kid, I don't know who you are, but you have a lot of treasures on you. Being able to defeat a second-layer half-saint with your cultivation of the sixth-layer martial immortal realm, you must have cultivated some kind of unknown cultivation technique that has greatly increased your realm essence. This cultivation technique is most likely the best cultivation technique in the universe. Moreover, your sword is from the era of deities. Most importantly, you have the dragon bones and have cultivated the 8 divine abilities of the dragon tribe. Chapter 3063. Qing Province's Doomsday. From now on, you're mine. As his voice rang out, Qing Province began to change. The earth began to flip, and it actually appeared in the sky, while the sky went to the location of the earth. What happened? Everyone sensed the change and started to panic. Such a method was simply unheard of. One had to know that the 9 prefectures was the divine land. Unless one was a true saint, no one would be able to shake this land. After all, this was not the world around the universe. It was not a fragile world. Hee, how could an ant like you know the might of the age of gods? Everyone's panic made the mysterious man smile disdainfully. Next, the world began to turn upside down, spinning continuously. Everyone felt as if they were trapped in a bottle, unable to move at all. As the center of attention, Lin Ling also felt the world spinning. However, he also saw countless dead spirits floating out from the spinning world, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as they pounced on him. It turned out that there were so many dead spirits hidden in the Azure province. With my current strength, I can't fight against these dead spirits, Lin Ling said with a solemn expression. He had already used the calamity-vanquishing Sun Bao, and he wouldn't be able to use it again in the short term. The power of the scabbard was also slowly diminishing. In addition, he was already exhausted from fighting 2 emperors. That mysterious man's means are extraordinary, but his strength is definitely not strong, so he has been sitting on the mountain and watching the tigers fight. What a vicious mind, Lin Ling said inwardly. He had a guess. Although that person was also at the half-saint realm, his physical body and realm essence were definitely not strong. On the contrary, his talent was not weak. He was proficient in death goo and could control everything. This meant that if he could break the Qing province goo, he could easily kill this person. However, Qingzhou had been overturned. It was easier said than done to get rid of the goo. Die! At this point, Lin Ling could only fight to the death. He constantly waved his barrier, wanting to block the attacks of the undead spirits. Unfortunately, there were too many undead spirits. When he helped the third princess break the goo in the past, there was only one undead spirit. Lin Ling was completely focused on facing it, and now there was more than one death goo. But even so, many undead spirits were still sealed by Lin Ling's enchantment, which made the mysterious man in the distance look cold. But when he thought of getting Lin Ling, he felt that everything was worth it. Let's see how long you can last. As long as the 10,000 spirits enter your body, even if you are a sage, you will die. Moreover, boy, you should feel lucky. Such a great venomous insect of the divine prefecture is usually used to deal with sage realm experts. You, a mere martial celestial, have received such treatment, that mysterious man said with a sinister smile. In fact, if he did not see that Lin Ling had many secrets, he would not have spent so much effort to set up the Qing province goo to deal with Lin Ling. Lord Lin Ling. Master. Father. The people of Qing state were of no help at all. They were all tossed around with Qing state. The weaker ones even spat out blood and died immediately. Qing Emperor, look at what kind of people you have provoked. Someone cursed at Qing Emperor. After all, this was originally their Qing state's matter. But who knew that Qing Emperor had violated the taboo and provoked the experts of the deity's era, causing everyone in Qing state to be buried with him? At that moment, Qing Emperor's expression changed greatly. He never thought that the mysterious man would be so cruel. Haha, Qing Emperor. He only has the ancient power. Otherwise, he would be trash. Now that the great venomous insect of Qing state has been set up, Qing Emperor has lost his connection with the ancient power. Therefore, he will also die. Everyone in Qing state will die. In the future, no one will know who did it. The mysterious man laughed cruelly. Sure enough, he wanted everyone in Qing State to be buried with him to raise his undead spirits. Hearing that, everyone's hearts dimmed. Qing State was facing a great calamity. They could not help but look at the center. They did not know whether the blue-robed young man could turn the tide. Perhaps the blue-robed young man had become their only life-saving straw. I hope Master can illuminate Qing State, the third princess muttered to herself. After she finished speaking, she spat out a mouthful of blood. This mysterious man was one of the 9 states' 10 evils. He was really terrifying. Die! At that moment, Lin Ling was still madly colliding with the undead spirits. However, he could not stop the undead spirits from rushing into his body, causing his entire body to be in severe pain. Refine all of you. Lin Ling roared at the sky. He activated the Chaos Divine Art in an attempt to refine the undead spirits that had entered his body. The Chaos Divine Art was really amazing. It could refine anything. The undead spirits were also successively turned into mysterious power and drifted into Lin Ling's Dantian. However, there were too many undead spirits. Even if the Chaos Divine Art could refine them, Lin Ling's Dantian had gathered too much power. In the end, it could not hold anymore. Gradually, 10 million undead spirits had gathered in Lin Ling's body. After all, one undead spirit could control a sage-to-be expert, let alone 10 million. Most importantly, Lin Ling was only a martial immortal. What a powerful little demon. You can actually refine my undead spirits. However, after you become my biggest undead spirit, I'll learn all of your secrets. Haha. The mysterious man was first surprised. Then he laughed excitedly. Lin Ling, who had been completely occupied by the undead spirits, stopped resisting. His entire body changed. He became gloomy and demonic. He had completely turned into an undead spirit. Master! The third princess and the others vaguely saw this scene, and all of them cried out in pain. At present, the only person who could break the undead spirits was Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling had also become an undead spirit. Therefore, even if they escaped alive, they could not save Lin Ling. When they thought of the man who had saved them countless times and now died, they felt as if their hearts were being cut by a knife. Literally, the undead spirits on Grandma Wendao's body also disappeared and rushed towards Lin Ling. Therefore, she also woke up. However, after seeing the scene in front of her, her eyes were moist as she shouted, "Second brother!" Soccer was the same. He knew that they were all finished. He never would have thought that returning to the Azure province would lead to their deaths. Originally, according to their estimation, no one could stop them from returning to the Azure province. However, the world had always changed, and the affairs of the world were impermanent. They had actually attracted such an old monster who disrupted all of their plans and even killed everyone. I'm not dead yet. However, at that moment, the gloomy Lin Ling let out a painful cry. He's actually still awake? That shocked the mysterious man. He was only a martial immortal. After being devoured by so many undead spirits, he could still occasionally wake up. This meant that the young man's soul power was extremely powerful, and his temperament was extremely tenacious. However, even so, the mysterious man had absolute confidence. He knew that Lin Ling was only struggling before death. I can't die. Indeed, Lin Ling was sometimes awake and sometimes unconscious. Chapter 3064. The Real Demon Sword. Rumble. The entire Qing province was still spinning, as if the universe was reversing. If everyone could calm down and look carefully, they would discover that it was actually countless dead spirits that were reversing the Qing province. Unfortunately, no one saw this. Everyone had half a foot in hell. Truly tenacious. The mysterious person looked at Lin Ling indifferently and said, "One must know that the dead spirits he had sent out would even kill a saint." However, the martial immortal junior had resisted until now. I'm not dead yet. However, Lin Ling's voice was getting weaker and weaker. His soul was roaring, competing with the Grim Reaper. In fact, he had come into contact with death many times. However, he was not afraid of death and even dared to face it head-on. He, Lin Ling, believed that his life was in his own hands and not in the hands of the heavens. Since he had been reborn, Lin Ling definitely held his life in the palm of his hand. Even if a god wanted to take his life, he would not allow it. His tenacious fighting spirit was constantly resisting. Unfortunately, there were too many dead spirits. The terrifying things from the underworld were not something that the current Lin Ling could fight against. This made him feel as if he had entered some kind of mysterious area. There was a dazzling light spot in front of him, causing him to subconsciously walk towards the light spot. However, Lin Ling's soul was awake. He knew that he could not enter the light spot because once he entered, he would be completely dead. Unfortunately, the universal chaotic laws made it difficult for him to resist. His soul was getting closer and closer to the light spot. My head, where is it? However, at that moment, an unexpected change occurred. A faintly discernible voice suddenly rose in Lin Ling's heart, causing him to be shocked. Scabbard? At that moment, he was still standing in the sky. His entire body was gray, as if he was a dead spirit. However, his body began to emit a terrifying aura. This aura continued to condense and quietly turned into a headless old man. This old man quietly stood in front of Lin Ling. Although he did not have a head, it was as if he was looking at Lin Ling, and the sword in his hand quietly appeared. At this moment, the ancient power of the gods roared and spread out like ripples, causing Qing province's rotation to slow down. It also caused all the dead spirits from the underworld to freeze in place. What is this? The mysterious man said solemnly. From the headless old man's body, he could sense the aura of a devil god. It was as if he was a devil god who had fought against the gods during the era of gods. No matter what you are, you can't break my goo. But at this moment, the headless old man raised his sword. The sword looked very ordinary, but it gently slashed at the sky. A bloody light appeared. This was a blood sword. This slash was clearly more terrifying than Lin Ling's slash. It soared through the sky, and thousands of dead spirits were instantly annihilated, turning into ashes. As for the overturned Azure Prefecture, it was actually severed by the sword. The chaotic world was once again divided. The ground sank back, and the sky floated back. Everything returned to normal. Not only did the sword slash sever space-time, it even severed the void, displaying the might of the Age of Gods. This was the real Devil's Sword. Azure Prefecture is restored. What is that? Everyone in Azure Prefecture was stunned at first. Then, one after another, they came to their senses. They looked at the old man who looked like a devil's sword with incomparable horror. They had been saved by Lin Ling. Crack! Crack! At the same time, the gray color on Lin Ling's body began to crack. A powerful aura also spread out from it. As for the headless old man, he quietly disappeared. Oh no, he woke up. Moreover, that slash actually severed all my dead spirits. Who is that person? Could it be a god? In the distance, the mysterious man stood in the sky in disbelief and kept shaking his head. He could devour the dead spirits of the Saint Realm, but he failed to devour the dead spirits of the martial immortal realm. Moreover, all the dead spirits were killed. This was simply beyond his imagination. Boom! At this moment, a deafening sound was heard. Lin Ling's body exploded. Countless gray colors spread out like ashes. This caused the heart of the mysterious man in the distance to tremble. It was as if he had seen a dragon god that had broken free. Bastard! He could not help but curse loudly. He was so angry that his anger overflowed to the heavens. Obviously, he had underestimated Lin Ling's means. But now, he could not be angry because he sensed that the situation was not good for him. And that was indeed the case. Lin Ling opened his gray body. He was like a fierce tiger that had come down the mountain. With endless anger, he stared at the mysterious man in the distance. That gaze actually caused the mysterious man's heart to turn cold. What a cold gaze. You will definitely die. The corners of Lin Ling's mouth moved slightly. His voice filled with monstrous killing intent floated out, shaking the sky and causing the dark clouds in the sky to disperse. Boom! He took a step and the sky exploded. Endless light beams appeared behind him. They were like ribbons as they shot towards the mysterious man. To Lin Ling, he had almost died earlier. He had no enmity with the mysterious man. The mysterious man coveted his treasures and set him up. He had almost caused the death of everyone in Qingzhou. Therefore, the mysterious man was no different from a great enemy like the heavenly court to Lin Ling. This was because if the mysterious scabbard had not suddenly appeared, his grandfather, mother, Yu, and everyone else would have died. And this touched Lin Ling's reverse scale. Even if the mysterious man was a god, he would die here today. Rumble! Endless light accompanied Lin Ling and shot towards the mysterious man like a meteor. The latter subconsciously took a step back. He was beginning to be afraid, very afraid. Roar! At this moment, the realm-swallowing beast appeared. Its huge mouth looked like it was going to swallow the heavens and the earth. Roar! Roar! The illusion of the dragon god floated in the sky like the pride of the dragon race. Rumble! And in the universe, the huge ancient divine monument smashed down like a god's taboo. All kinds of terrifying visions caused the mysterious man's mouth to tremble. Wait, how about we shake hands and make peace? Rumble. However, the answer to his question was an incomparably turbulent aura. At this moment, the aura came crashing over like a tidal wave, tearing apart the cloth on the mysterious person's body, revealing his true form. This was an extremely old man. So strong. The current Lord Linling is so strong. He broke through. Heavens, he reached the 7th level of the martial immortal realm. Linling, you can do it. The entire Qingzhou cheered. Linling's light once again illuminated Qingzhou. Compared to the excitement of the people, the mysterious old man's heart was like thunder. And the closer Linling got, the more panicked he became. Boom! The terrifying punch, which contained Linling's fury and all his strength, reached the old man's eyes in shock. Chapter 3065. Vengeance. Shake hands and make peace? Boom. Boom. That punch smashed down like a dragon god, and the old man wasn't weak at all. He was at the half-saint realm, but he was still smashed into the ground. Clearly, apart from his terrifying talent, his other skills were very ordinary. Of course, he did not expect a martial immortal junior to be able to break his venomous insect. If he had known earlier, he would have prepared more skills. Unfortunately, he had never known about this in the vast universe. Wait, don't kill me. I was wrong. Beneath the ground, the old man let out another groan. You were wrong. In the sky, a huge foot that looked like the leg of a giant, with the power to destroy 10,000 worlds, fiercely stomped down. Boom. Immediately, a huge footprint appeared in Qingzhou. It was extremely terrifying. Moreover, countless huge rocks were tumbling in the sky like kites with their strings cut. Among them was the old man. At that moment, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was filled with shock. This enraged youth was simply too terrifying. He had to escape from this place. You want to escape? Boom. However, Linling seemed to know what he was thinking. He intercepted the old man in midair and crazily attacked him like a storm. Boom. 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 Deafening sounds resounded in the sky and on the ground. The old man was like a sandbag being violently beaten by Linling. This made the blood of the people on the ground boil as they continuously cheered for him. In the end, all the rumbling sounds disappeared. In the sky, the blue-robed man stood there like the Azure Emperor. His left arm was raised high, and in his palm was the mysterious old man who only had half a breath left. I am from the land of eternal rest of the 10 Banes of the 9 provinces. If you kill me, you will not be able to escape from the land of eternal rest. The old man said with difficulty. After those words, Qingzhou instantly became silent. 9 provinces, 10 Banes? Heavens! This mysterious person actually has such a great background. Lord Linling, you can't kill him. If you kill him, Qingzhou will be in great trouble. So what if Qingzhou is in danger? Most importantly, Lord Linling, don't offend the 9 prefectures' 10 evils for Qingzhou. After a while, cries of surprise rang out one after another. To the martial artists of Qing Prefecture, the 9 prefectures' 10 evils were ferocious creatures that represented the era of gods. They were not people they could provoke. And if Linling killed the old man, the place where the heroic spirit rested would definitely attack Qingzhou. But most of them would attack Linling. Therefore, Linling's friends didn't want Linling to get into such trouble. 9 prefectures, 10 evils. At this moment, Linling was standing in the sky with an expressionless face. The old man opened his eyes with great difficulty, and a smile appeared on his wrinkled face. He knew that as long as one was a martial artist in the land of the 9 prefectures, there was no one who wasn't afraid of the 9 prefectures' 10 villains. Die! However, just as the old man's smile rose, he heard Linling's cold words. Then his neck was forcefully crushed. Boom! The old man's body also exploded. Blood splattered everywhere, and Qingzhou fell silent. Dead, the 9 prefectures' 10 evils is dead. As expected of Lord Linling. Everyone looked at the sky, and their hearts began to tremble. As for the Qing Emperor, his face was extremely pale. It was as if he was looking up at the blue-robed man in the sky. Qing Emperor, since you're the former God Emperor, I'll leave your corpse intact so that you can die with dignity. Lin Ling looked at the Qing Emperor and said indifferently. Hearing this, the Qing Emperor smiled bitterly. He looked deeply at Lin Ling and recalled the first time he heard Lin Ling's name. He knew that it was Lin Ling who had rung the Qingzhou divine bell. At that time, he was extremely furious at Lin Ling, as Lin Ling had interrupted his monarch horoscope. However, Lin Ling was still a mere ant. Therefore, he did not place his attention on Lin Ling. Instead, he was planning to secretly become the retired emperor after the competition between the four authorities was over. However, to his surprise, the person who had rung the Qingzhou divine bell was actually the one who was going to replace the Qing emperor. I should have thought of it, sigh. The Qing emperor let out a sigh. In the past, before he became the Qing emperor, he was also the one who had rung the Qingzhou divine bell. This meant that he was destined to be the one who had rung the Qingzhou divine bell. Unfortunately, he had thought that Lin Ling was just a mere ant. Thus he did not place any importance on Lin Ling, which led to the huge mistake he had made today. Third princess, go and kill him. Lin Ling's voice appeared once again. Thank you, master. On the ground, the third princess, who was as beautiful as a fairy, strode out. At this moment, her beautiful eyes were sparkling. Clearly, she was extremely excited. Her mother had been killed by the Qing emperor. Therefore, she had been waiting for a very long time to avenge her father. Inger. Looking at the third princess, the Qing emperor let out another sigh as if he had aged significantly. He never thought that he would die at the hands of his daughter. Scenes from the past flashed across his mind as he recalled the third princess mother. Do it. I'm willing to die at the hands of my daughter. I hope that the Qingzhou divine bell will eventually reach its peak in your hands. The Qing emperor finally closed his eyes, but his lips curled into a kind smile. Perhaps at this moment, he was no longer the Qing emperor who stood above everyone. He was just an ordinary father. However, he had only returned to being a father after losing the battle, which caused the third princess' eyes to turn even colder. The reason being that her father had not done anything when she had been poisoned by the dead spirits. He had even treated her like a puppet and wanted to become the retired emperor. You want to be my father? You're not qualified. A long sword as thin as a silkworm's wing appeared in the third princess' hand. She stabbed the Qing emperor viciously and pierced through his chest. Blood immediately gushed out and dyed the third princess's white dress red. Emperor Qing opened his eyes, as if he had died with a grievance. Perhaps he knew that he had lost the battle, but his daughter had not forgiven him. This meant that he had gained nothing in return. The Qingzhou divine bell will be better in my hands. The third princess was expressionless. She pulled out her long sword, which turned into a beam of light. With a light slash, the Qing emperor's head fell off. Dead, the Qing emperor is dead. The new Qing emperor killed the old Qing emperor. Even if they were father and daughter, it was destined. The great Tao of the universe is heartless. Sometimes there is no kinship, only benefits. The people sighed in their hearts as they looked at the third princess on the ground. However, they knew that the one who could illuminate the Qingzhou divine bell was not the third princess, but the blue-robed young man in the sky. Empress Dowager, you were the one who destroyed the rainforest's sacred land. At this moment, Lin Ling said coldly. Plop! The Empress Dowager sat on the ground powerlessly. Her face was ashen. My friends, my brothers, all my memories were in the rainforest's sacred land. How could you destroy it? Lin Ling took a step forward. With every step he took, he waved out countless enchantments to suppress the Empress Dowager. Rumble. In the end, the Empress Dowager turned into a huge stone tablet that sat on the ground. This reminded the people of the other 3 stone tablets in the rainforest's sacred land. They were Realgar, Luo Sha Thorn, and Sunbone. These people were the murderers of the rainforest's sacred land. Chapter 3066. Double-Edged Sword. Second brother, good job. Dishir Tian's eyes were filled with warmth and tears. Good, this is great. Ancestor Tai Yen and the others were the same. They finally had an explanation for the rainforest's sacred land. Everyone have a safe journey. When I, Lin Ling, dominate the gods, you will all return. Lin Ling's heart felt like a huge rock had been lifted off his chest. He could finally get his revenge. He looked at the rolling clouds in the sky, as though he was looking at people he knew leaving with smiles. Lady Shui Wu, Lord Pu, Great Demon King of the East, Heaven Mystic's Kingdom, ancient faith sect. There were too many. These people had watched Lin Ling grow up step by step. They were proud of Lin Ling and were Lin Ling's memories. A person's life was bound to be filled with endless memories. These memories were extremely precious when they grew old. It was unknown whether it was because these friends were leaving or because the clouds in the sky were gradually dispersing. The sky began to turn blue with white clouds floating in the sky. It made one's heart feel extremely clear. That kind of tranquil atmosphere made everyone in Qing Prefecture smile with gratification. From today onwards, the three magnates are not allowed to enter the cities after Three Ring City. Are there any objections? Lin Ling looked at the ground and spoke with dignity. Yes, absolutely yes. Let alone Three Ring City. I will never step into Two Ring City again. The three magnates spoke one after another. How could they dare to refuse? If it wasn't for Lin Ling, they would have been dead. Hence, they had actually profited. All the three magnates, cripple your own cultivation. However, before they could rejoice, Lin Ling's voice floated out again. Cripple our own cultivation? Isn't that the same as killing us? I refuse to accept this. That's right, Lin Ling. What right do you have to cripple our cultivation? The three magnates were startled, and they all blushed as they spoke. Boom. However, at this moment, Lin Ling raised his foot high and stomped heavily on the ground. The entire Qing Prefecture shook. Tell me, what right do I have? Silence. The three magnates were speechless. They knew why. After the fall of the Azure Emperor of the Azure Prefecture became the third princess. She controlled the primordial power, and she was also very smart. In a short period of time, she repaired the shattered Azure Prefecture. Qing Province gradually regained its tranquility. However, to everyone, even though the Qing Emperor was the third princess, Lin Ling reigned supreme in the Qing Prefecture. The legend of Lin Ling would be passed down for thousands of generations in Qingzhou. At this time, in the Flame World fragment, everyone was present. Although the third princess had become the Azure Emperor and controlled the great Qing God dynasty, Lin Ling was still used to living in the fragment of the Flame World. Moreover, he had started to let people tidy up the rainforest's sacred land. Soon, everyone could return to the rainforest's sacred land. After all, that place was their home, and they couldn't abandon it. Little Li, you finally left Qingzhou. In a large hall, Grandma Wendao smiled at Lin Ling. Her eyes were filled with gratification because she had watched Lin Ling rise step by step in the rainforest's sacred land, and finally dominate Qingzhou. Everything seemed slow and impossible, but when the result appeared in front of her eyes, she still felt that it was unreal. Moreover, she looked forward to Lin Ling's name being spread in the 9 states in the God world. Grandma Wendao, in a few days, I will bring Yu and the rest to Spirit Province. Do you want to come? Lin Ling smiled and looked respectfully at Grandma Wendao. I'm old and don't want to fight anymore. I plan to return to the rainforest's sacred land, plant some flowers and fish. This is life. However, Grandma Wendao shook her head. Her words made Lin Ling smile bitterly and shake his head. Then Lin Ling pondered for a moment and suddenly asked, Grandma Wendao, do you know someone called Gan Liangping? In the past, when he first came to the martial god realm, it was that mysterious blue-robed youth who introduced him to the martial god camp. Venerable Si Calming also became that person's disciple, so he had always been curious about that person. Moreover, his demon eyes of 10,000 things sensed that that person also had one of the 6 great god eyes in the universe, and it wasn't weak at all. The 6 great god eyes in the universe each had their own abilities. Lin Ling's was extremely powerful, and Tong Man's was able to see through fate. He wondered how powerful that mysterious blue-robed youth was. Grandma Wendao immediately smiled mysteriously and didn't explain anything. Instead, she said, you will meet him. In fact, he has been waiting for you. Waiting for me? Yes. Hearing that, Lin Ling's eyes lit up, but seeing that Grandma Wendao didn't want to say more, he didn't ask anymore. He only knew that the youth's height wasn't something he could compare to at the moment. Following that, everyone began to chat happily. That night, Lin Ling accompanied Yu and the others. After a round of sex, Lin Ling also started to cultivate. Now he had reached the 7th level of the martial immortal realm, and the realm sea in his dantian was extremely turbulent. There was even a large amount of spiritual qi outside his dantian, which he could use to cultivate at any time. And this spiritual qi was obtained from refining dead souls. In fact, he didn't expect that he would benefit from a disaster and successfully reached the 7th level of the martial immortal realm. However, after the battle with that mysterious person, Lin Ling knew that there was no absolute invincibility in the universe. Some people didn't seem strong, but they had deadly means, such as death goo. This also meant that in the universe, there was always something that countered something else. Sometimes it was also very fair. This time, if it weren't for the scabbard, I definitely wouldn't have been able to escape death. Thinking of the scene not long ago, Lin Ling secretly broke out in a cold sweat. Obviously, the scabbard had saved him again. However, when Lin Ling took off the scabbard, a cold aura suddenly spread out. The scabbard floated up on its own, and the tyrannical song sword flew out and coldly hung by Lin Ling's neck. This sudden change caused Lin Ling's expression to change. "My head, where is it?" At the same time, the faintly discernible voice sounded. The headless old man appeared again, and he actually wanted to kill Lin Ling. "What's going on?" Lin Ling was shocked because ever since he obtained those broken swords, the scabbard could be controlled by him, and it didn't have the cold killing intent it had in the past. But now, this killing intent had appeared again. Could it be that since the scabbard had saved Lin Ling once, he, Lin Ling, had to find the remaining broken swords? Or even the headless old man's head? Otherwise, the sword would kill him. It's really a double-edged sword. Lin Ling didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, he didn't resent the scabbard because without the headless old man, he, Lin Ling, would have died countless times. Lin Ling's character had always been clear about kindness and hatred. Kindness was kindness, hatred was hatred. "Senior, I also don't know where your head is." Lin Ling smiled bitterly and said helplessly, "Go find it." However, this time, to Lin Ling's surprise, the headless old man actually said something else. Chapter 3067. Leave Qing Province. Okay. I'll find it when I have the chance. Let's gather all the broken swords first. However, Senior, I can still use this scabbard," Lin Ling said again. However, the headless old man didn't waste any more words with him and disappeared into the scabbard. Lin Ling looked at the cold scabbard and didn't have the courage to pull it out. He could only hope that the headless old man would give him more time to find the scabbard. "Sigh, I have to return the favor I owe." Lin Ling put the scabbard on his back and began to cultivate. 3 days later, everyone set off. Everyone in the imperial court came to send Lin Ling off. "Grandfather, there's no need to send me off. I've left a barrier in the rainforest and the fragment of the flame world. I can come back to see you at any time." Seeing the reluctance of Ancestor Tai Yen and the others, Lin Ling waved his hand and smiled. Go. A good man has ambitions. Don't worry about home. Grandma Wendao is at home. Everything will be fine." Ancestor Tai Yen, Emo Nianchen, and the others waved their hands with tears in their eyes. In reality, they didn't want Lin Ling and the others to leave. They wanted Lin Ling to live an ordinary life. However, they also knew that the universe was merciless. The strong were respected. If Lin Ling didn't become stronger, not only would the Fire Ancient clan die, but all of them would die. It was precisely because Lin Ling often went out to train and fight against various powerful figures that he had enough confidence to protect the ancient clan of flames from all kinds of storms. This was the indomitable warrior of our generation. Lin Ling, Sakura, Yu, Xian Yuan Gub and the others left Qing province and appeared in the chaos of the universe. Yu and Xian Yuan Gub had both reached the martial immortal realm and were qualified to go to Spirit Province. They were extremely curious about it. There was no end to learning. In fact, this was also what every martial artist yearned for. They were very curious about the more profound martial arts and the more mysterious era of gods. They hoped to touch upon that door. Therefore, martial artists were constantly becoming stronger. If there was a day when they were still in the same place, then they should consider their own reasons. "Your Excellency Lin Ling, please wait." However, while Lin Ling's group was chatting happily, several old men suddenly appeared in front of them, blocking their path. These people looked familiar to Lin Ling. He suddenly recalled that these were the seniors who were guarding the Cloud Holy Lands when he rang the Azure Prefecture Divine Bell. "Because you killed Emperor Qing and violated the rules left behind by the gods. Therefore, according to the commandments of the 9 emperors of Qingzhou, you must die," the old man said with a wry smile. In the past, Lin Ling had sounded the Azure Prefecture Divine Bell. At that time, he already felt that Lin Ling was extraordinary. And now, seeing that he was not just extraordinary, he was simply abnormal. Unfortunately, if Lin Ling had become Emperor Qing, then they would not have killed Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling did not become Emperor Qing and instead killed Emperor Qing of the previous generation. This was a violation of the rules. Forgive us. We have been following the rules of the gods all our lives. 1 is 1, 2 is 2. The other old men also spoke one after another. It could be seen that they did not want to kill Lin Ling. However, after the discussion of the 9 emperors, we have decided to spare your life. However, you must follow us to guard the 9 cloud holy lands and cannot leave for the rest of your life. The old man suddenly said again, Senior, please give us a way out. Yu and the others also knew what had happened and hurriedly bowed and said, Little girl, we can't help it. The old men looked at each other, and the wry smile on their faces deepened. Facing such a senior, Lin Ling really could not bear any resentment because the other party had already given him a lot of face. They only asked him to guard the Cloud Holy Lands and become the elder behind the scenes of the Azure Prefecture. However, to have him stay in those clouds for the rest of his life and face these old men every day, to be honest, he really could not bear it. Moreover, he still had a blood feud to take. Senior, I, Lin Ling, am willing to bear the consequences of my mistakes. After pondering for a moment, Lin Ling said with a solemn expression, That's good. Don't worry, guarding the Cloud Holy Lands will not be boring. Moreover, you are also the messenger of the gods. Hearing that, all of the old men started laughing. They were laughing very happily. From now on, there will be one more person to play chess with me. Scram, Lin Ling and the other new elders have to accompany me to fish. They even began to arrange Lin Ling's life in the future. However, while they were talking excitedly, Lin Ling gave Yu and the others a look. The next moment, he fled without a trace. The old men were still talking excitedly, but when they realized this, they all blew their beards. Little fox, you lied to us. Then their eyes turned red with anger. Previously, they felt that Lin Ling had agreed too quickly and that there was something fishy about it. However, when they saw Lin Ling's serious expression, they thought that Lin Ling was really willing to bear the consequences. Who knew that they were too naive? Where do you think you're going? Sir Lin Ling, we're just guarding the Cloud Holy Lands. We're not asking you to go to jail. Come back with us and become the new elder of the 9 heavenly emperors. Moreover, as an elder, you won't have to fear the Azure Emperor and will even have the chance to meet the gods. Little ancestor, come back. They all chased after him. Seniors, I'm sorry, but I really can't go to the Cloud Holy Lands. Not to mention that it's too boring, even if it's really filled with endless fun. I, Lin Ling, have my own things to do. Moreover, I think it's really boring there. That boring time can make you seniors fall in love with each other and stay together for a lifetime. In front, Lin Ling's helpless voice floated out. Haha. Hearing this, Yu and the others couldn't help but laugh. Nonsense. How can we fall in love with each other for a lifetime? The Cloud Holy Lands are all men. How can men stay together for a lifetime? Hearing Lin Ling's words, the old men were so angry that smoke was coming out of their 7 orifices. Moreover, they looked at their partners with disdain. Although they had worked together for countless years, they couldn't fall in love with each other even if they were beaten to death. I don't believe it. You have to know that in the Cloud Holy Lands, besides seeing your companions every day, you don't see anyone else. Love grows with time. Even if it's a man, you're all afraid of developing feelings for each other. In front, Lin Ling still didn't believe it. Pooh! Hearing this, one of the old men was wrongly accused and spat out a mouthful of blood. The others also had goosebumps all over their bodies. However, their speed of chasing Lin Ling became even faster. They swore in their hearts that if they caught that kid, they would definitely punish him. You're called Lin Ling, right? But at this moment, in the chaos of the universe, a smile suddenly came out. A man in cloth clothes stood in front of them indifferently, blocking the path of Lin Ling and the others. This person was like a saint. His smile and his brows seemed to carry the great Tao of a saint. On his back was a sword. On the blade of the sword, a terrifying aura poured out. Seeing that person, Lin Ling's pupils constricted. In fact, his eyes were staring at the sword. That was a sword that Lin Ling was very, very familiar with. Chapter 3068. The Heavenly Court's Yama, Asher's Green Flame. You're from the Heavenly Court. Lin Ling said calmly as he stared at the sword. Oh, I haven't told you who I am, but you know who I am? The man put his hands behind his back and his eyes flashed with surprise. He had never met Lin Ling before, but Lin Ling had guessed his identity. That's right, he was from the Heavenly Court. He had been ordered by the Heavenly Court's martial god to search for Lin Ling. Today, he was lucky enough to pass by and heard the old man's words. Only then did he know that the blue-robed young man was Lin Ling. I also know that you're martial god Qilin's disciple. Lin Ling's eyes were unprecedentedly cold. That was because the sword was Li Xiaoyao's personal sword, the true inheritance dark sword. Martial god Qilin had snatched the sword, so he knew that the man was from the Heavenly Court. You're Lin Ling, right? I've underestimated you. However, you should know why I'm here today. The man's eyes flashed strangely as he said indifferently. Lin Ling naturally knew why he was here. He must be here to kill Lin Ling. I'll take your life. The man unleashed a terrifying aura. Countless horned dragons appeared behind him and occupied the entire void. The saint's light also filled the air. It was as unfathomable as the sea. 5th level half-saint. The old men behind Lin Ling frowned. At the same time, Lin Ling knew that the man was definitely one of martial god Qilin's capable disciples. You old fogies, go to hell. Remember, the one who's going to kill you is Yan Nan from the Heavenly Court. The man sneered and attacked in the next moment. He looked to be in his 30s, but he was definitely a martial saint in the 9 prefectures. He had already established his own sect and became an ancestor. Rumble. Green lightning appeared in the chaos and bombarded the void. Chaos lightning, the existence of the desolate body. It's at least a 3rd-grade desolate body. The elders from the Cloud Saint land of the Azure State became even more solemn. Osher green flame. Lin Ling stared at the green lightning in the sky. He did not expect martial god Qilin to give Yan Nan such a precious treasure. Big brother, you go to master first. Lin Ling said to Yu and the others behind him. But Yu and the others naturally did not plan to leave. Hurry up and leave. After you leave, I won't have anything to worry about. Lin Ling said again. Okay, brother Ling, be careful. Second brother, be careful. Although they were reluctant to leave, Yu and the others knew that they wouldn't be of any help in this situation. Instead, they would only distract Lin Ling. Thus, they left one after another. However, Yan Nan's target was Lin Ling, so he didn't pay any attention to Yu and the others. You are the one who killed my junior brother Tian Lingbao and Lu Xingyun. What makes me curious is that you are just a piece of trash. Yan Nan smiled faintly. His smile was mixed with disdain. Terrifying green flames spread out from his body and enveloped the entire chaotic universe. These green flames were extraordinary. Lightning was born from the flames. It was a product from the era of the gods. You want to kill Lin Ling? We won't allow it. The elders of the Cloud Saint ground looked at each other. Without any hesitation, they also unleashed their powerful strength. Their cultivation was at the 1st and 2nd level of the half-saint realm. With such cultivation in Qingzhou, they were like the immortals behind the scenes. However, in the face of the experts of the 9 prefectures, their strength was obviously not very strong. However, they had the advantage in numbers. If they joined forces, they might be able to stop the half-saint. Ancient Orchid Muscle Rippling Lotus. Supreme Earth Rippling Lotus. The techniques they unleashed were also extremely powerful. They were all advanced 6th-grade martial arts, and they even had a touch of divine aura. Suddenly, ancient clouds filled the sky, just like the tribulation clouds in the Cloud Saint ground. Some of the clouds turned into huge lotus flowers, singing divine songs. Some of the clouds turned into rolling earth waves, overturning the chaotic universe. Lin Ling, don't worry. With us here, he won't be able to touch you, the leader of the elders said at the same time. His words warmed Lin Ling's heart. When the experts arrived, the seniors of the Cloud Saint ground did not leave. Instead, they did not hesitate to protect him. Lin Ling would remember this kindness in his heart. He could imagine that without their help, Lin Ling would not be able to escape this calamity. If we join forces, we will definitely be able to defeat the expert at the 5th level of the half-saint realm. The other elder's eyes shone with confidence. However, Lin Ling shook his head. He did not think so. Martial god Qilin had obtained part of Li Xiaoyao's true inheritance. His strength was not to be underestimated. His disciple would definitely not be weak. Oh no! When did the green flames come? They are holding us back. And that was indeed the case. Green flames had appeared around the old men and were burning them. Even the power of a lower level couldn't block it. ASU rank, Azura divine power of the underworld. In the distance, Yen Nan, whose body was covered in green flames, slowly walked over. From his appearance, it could be said that he was completely at ease. However, on the surface, he indeed had the qualifications to be calm and collected. This was because Lin Ling was only a martial celestial. Although he had some skills, he was definitely not a match for a middle half-saint realm expert. As for the elders, they had the divine melody on them. However, their talents were not strong and their ultimate martial paths were very ordinary. To put it bluntly, with such strength, he could kill him with a single finger. Therefore, he was 100% confident that he could kill Lin Ling today. You can't stop me. If I want to kill someone, even the gods can't stop me. A disdainful voice drifted out. This made the elders of the Cloud Saint Ground realize that they had underestimated Yen Nan. After being surrounded by the green flames, their speed and the activation of their realm essence slowed down. It was as if they were carrying countless mountains on their backs. Your Excellency, don't be too arrogant. However, the leading elder was clearly angered. They were the saints of the Cloud Saint Ground. When had they ever been looked down upon? So what if I look down on you? Make your move. I'll let you make your move. Yen Nan suddenly stopped and looked at the elders from the corner of his eyes. There was no doubt that his eyes were filled with mockery. Everyone, use your full strength. Seeing this, the elders looked at each other. The realm sea in their dantians boiled and their realm essence burned, forming a large area of tribulation clouds. The tribulation clouds were colorful. There were thunder clouds, wind clouds, fire clouds, and so on. Of course, the tribulation clouds were not very powerful. However, the terrifying thing was that the tribulation clouds merged together. It was extremely dazzling, as if they had formed the Cloud Saint Ground. Kill! After the tribulation clouds formed, several voices rang out at the same time. Chapter 3069. One of the underworld's 10 great underworld demons, Asher Emerald Snake. All right. Noticing that their cooperation this time was stronger than usual, all the old men were overjoyed. Rumble. The tribulation clouds moved extremely quickly and engulfed Yen Nan. The sound of metal clashing continued to ring out. He's dead. When the old man saw that Yen Nan was completely defenseless, he heaved a sigh of relief. If we join forces, we can definitely kill a half-saint at the 5th level. That Yen Nan was too confident. Otherwise, he wouldn't have died. But this person's strength is really impressive. Even with the 9 of us working together, he still managed to resist for so long. After the others secretly wiped their sweat, they also spoke one after another. Lin Ling, on the other hand, remained silent. Using his 10,000 mammoth's magic eyes, he could see that the tribulation clouds were wreaking havoc on Yen Nan's body. Yen Nan, on the other hand, was constantly groaning in pain. However, Lin Ling could clearly see that Yen Nan was actually maintaining a strange posture in the face of the terrifying tribulation clouds. Divine Fist of ASU. Not good. Lin Ling immediately spat out. What is the ASU Godly Fist? Hearing this, all the elders frowned. It's a type of martial art that becomes more ferocious the more injured one is. It can raise one's strength by 20%. The moment the fist is completed, it can destroy everything. Lin Ling said word by word. So powerful? Lin Ling, you're not lying to us, are you? Everyone had a look of disbelief on their faces. Blocking everything, the more injured one was, the more ferocious it would be. The instant the fist was formed, everything would be destroyed. How could there be such a powerful defensive martial art in the world? Be careful. Lin Ling had no time to explain anything. At the same time, a rumbling sound came from the front. Yen Nan's fist slowly stretched out, and his speed was extremely slow. He was about to collide head-on with the tribulation clouds. However, even though his speed was slow, his fists did not stop at all. ASU Godly Fist. At the same time, an incomparably valiant voice rang out. The fist that was filled with green flames became faster and faster. It was as if it was pushing the tribulation clouds. With a boom, it directly shattered the tribulation clouds that filled the sky. A huge black hole was even created in the surrounding void. Astral winds gushed out. Crash! The elders from the Cloud Holy Land were all flipped over and coughed up blood. Their faces were filled with horror. This punch was too powerful. Hee hee, Ants like you only have this much ability? If I were you, I would have found a piece of tofu and killed myself. Amidst the countless storms, all sorts of multicolored energies intertwined. A faint figure slowly walked out. His long hair danced wildly in the wind, and the corners of his mouth curved into an evil smile. He was extremely valiant. Meanwhile, his right hand hung down, burning with green azure green flames, making his fist extremely eye-catching. The appearance of such a figure undoubtedly caused the faces of all the elders to turn extremely pale. The other party's might, the other party's strength, and the other party's disdain made them realize that there was always someone better than them. Of course, Yan Nan's expression was extremely calm in the face of the astonishment of these elders, as if defeating these elders was as common as eating a meal. Instead, he swept his gaze around, but did not discover Lin Ling's figure. Frowning, he asked, "Where's that kid? Could it be that he ran away?" Heavenly Court's Yan Nan, aren't you underestimating me, Lin Ling? I, Lin Ling, don't need to run away from a mere piece of trash like you. However, at this moment, a sword from the era of gods appeared, cutting through the chaos in the universe and slashing towards Yan Nan like a waterfall. This caused Yan Nan's eyes to flicker. This was because he felt that the power of the sword was not much weaker than the attacks of the elders. This Lin Ling was actually an expert who could defeat a first heaven half-step saint. No, he could even defeat a second heaven half-step saint. However, Yan Nan was a fifth heaven half-step saint. He was a mountain that Lin Ling could not step over. Revered by the world, the power of Azura, Yan Nan let out a low roar. Without any visible movement, his majestic fist blasted towards Lin Ling. Lin Ling, be careful. Seeing this, all the elders shouted. In their opinion, Lin Ling could not hurt Yan Nan at all, even if his sword was incomparably sharp. Swoosh. However, at this moment, the sword suddenly became strange. It was like a dancing snake, dodging Yan Nan's fist from the side and gently slashing at his wrist. Originally, Lin Ling's sword would not have caused much damage to Yan Nan even if it had hit him. However, there was always an exception. After that sword slash, fresh blood immediately gushed out. Ah! Yan Nan cried out in pain. He retracted his fist and stood up, rubbing his wrist. What? Ah! This turn of events undoubtedly caused the elders of the Cloud Saint Lands to be tongue-tied. At the same time, Lin Ling's figure appeared in the void. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Although the sword slash had injured Yan Nan, the power of the fist had also injured him. Of course, compared to Yan Nan, Lin Ling was obviously in a much better state. Because their cultivation levels were not on the same level, they had both been injured in the exchange of blows. Yan Nan would definitely lose more face in this exchange. You're very lucky. Ah! Indeed, Yan Nan's body was trembling. He lowered his head and looked at the wound on his wrist as he muttered to himself. He was a martial immortal with the strength of a fifth-level half-saint. To him, this was a great humiliation, a great humiliation. Moreover, according to the rules, Lin Ling should not have been able to hurt him. However, after he had used the ASU Divine Fist, there was a flaw in the martial skill. There was a weak point at the wrist that was as big as a strand of hair. If an ordinary person attacked this weak point, he would definitely be injured. Lin Ling's previous slash had hit this weak point with incomparable accuracy. However, he believed that it was caused by Lin Ling's luck. Do the people of the Heavenly Court like to talk nonsense? Yes. Lin Ling smiled and said indifferently. Whether it's nonsense or not, you'll understand soon enough. A person's luck will not always be good. Yes. Yan Nan was clearly enraged. Boom. Flames blazed all over his body. Vast and majestic energy whizzed out from his divine body, causing the void to tremble. In the next instant, a huge green ancient snake appeared behind him. As soon as the ancient snake appeared, a pressure that could topple mountains and overturn seas swept out. Not to mention martial immortals, even experts below the fifth-level half-saint would find it difficult to breathe at this moment. A god's descendant? The eyes of the old man from the cloud Holy Land trembled violently. It was as if he had seen a product from the era of gods and demons. ASU Jade Snake, one of the 10 great underworld demons of the underworld. Lin Ling said solemnly. This Yama was the first powerful opponent that Lin Ling had encountered after he had stepped into the martial immortal realm. You know a lot. However, all of you will die. Yan Nan roared at the sky. His long hair had turned green, and countless flaming serpents appeared behind him. Even an Azura god was faintly discernible as it descended from the sky. It reached out its arm and grabbed at the void. The 10,000 worlds that were relatively close to this battle were instantly turned into ashes. It was so terrifying. This battle had reached the peak stage. It could be said to be a battle between gods. All of you attack. Try your best to stop them. I need 3 breaths of time. You're tuning in to the Lee May's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.